time. What's going on, family? Welcome to King Talk. Let me go ahead and introduce the crew. Make sure everybody mute up. We got Mr. Dre, Will Picking and Shoes, and M. Whites, Lord Sherm Peep, Chicago Outlaw, the guy 720 Inc. Me, myself, the PJI. Welcome to King Talk. What's going on, gentlemen? What's going on? How y'all doing?
I can't call it like a broken phone. You feel me?
Nothing wrong with that. Good to see you. I don't know what we're seeing. Trying to remember that, getting it together. There you go.
I don't know what. My bad.
All right, man. You gotta be careful, man. Hey, Kevin Samuels had an incident like that before. Anyhow, man, what's going on?
I remember that.
Yeah. And everybody's trying to figure out what it was. And Legacy was going on, fishing and fit. Going on, brother. Good to talk with you not too long ago. As you guys come in, hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I guess we're on the same thing. Yeah. What y'all got going on there, bro? Let's make sure y'all cross your T's and dot your I's, man. I don't want none of happened. Like, I never knew. I had no idea. As you guys come in, hit the like button. And if you are catching the replay, do as well. Thank you guys for tuning in to King Talk. We're going to do part 2 today. Part 2, we didn't get a chance to finish last week, but reasons why older men are staying single today. Reasons why older men are staying single today. This is part 2. Interesting discussion. Last time, I think the highlight might have been when Will asked that question as far as men are men taught to be husbands, or men are not taught to be husbands. So that was a big argument and debate last week. I'm looking forward to see what we unpack this week, tonight. And we also have the guy 720. Good to see you here too, brother. Looking forward to hearing your perspective and what you got to say on this topic. I'm going to go ahead and open it up with the first question that I'm going to pose to the panel, which is marriage today built for men, or has it become too feminized? Is marriage today built for men, or has it become too feminized? I'm going to go ahead and start with you first, Tree.
Well, I believe it all depends on how you set the foundation, right? So if you were the type of man that's truly a leader, then your marriage is going to work for you just the way you need it to. Now, if you buy into this happy wife, happy life nonsense, then you're gonna have an issue. And secondly, if you choose the wrong woman, then that could definitely end up being against you. But I'll say this: most men are failing at the marriage just as a whole. But what I do understand is that there are plenty of men who vetted properly, who took their time, and a bit of luck too, ended up with a valuable woman who are enjoying their marriage and are happy that they made that decision. So overall, I would say, even with all of that, I still would say that it can be absolutely feminized. But I think it's up to us as men to not give a woman that ultimate honor if she doesn't deserve it in the first place.
All right. I'm going to go to you, Sherm. Is marriage today built for men, or has it become too feminized?
I feel like marriage is basically what anyone makes it. I don't feel like it's too masculine, too feminized, or anything like that. I honestly feel like, one of the main disconnects is when, especially in my generation, people that were born in the 80s, There were a lot of single parent house homes, a lot of kids being raised by grandmothers just due to the crack epidemic. And so there were a lot of people that were raised without a man inside of the home. And so there's men, a generation of men that were raised without men inside of the home that got their perspectives from women. You know, their whole perspective of life was from a woman. So it's like taking that man and their perspective, which may have been feminized, and then having them go out there and date and try to meet a woman. I feel like that's probably where the disconnect happens where people say that it became too feminized. You know, happy wife, happy life is true. You know, and not no shout out to Trev, but I do feel like a husband should do all that he can to make his wife happy, because if the wife is happy, the home is happy, she's going to raise happy kids, everything should be solid. You know, I'm not going to say that everything is going to be peaches and cream, but you know, you as the leader of the family, you know, you do have to do whatever you can in order to make the household kosher. You know what I'm saying? I'm a true believer in that. And with that, I wouldn't say that's being a little bit feminine. It's just more coming from a level of understanding where it's like, I'm raising kids, I'm raising a family. I have to be what I would say the sacrificial lamb in order for everything to be happy and kosher, basically. So I'll just leave with that.
All right. The God 720. Is marriage today built for men, or has it become too feminized?
Okay, my mic on?
Yeah, you good.
All right. Yeah, appreciate you for having me on your show, first and foremost. Marriage is not feminized. There's nothing feminine about marriage. Marriage is a contract. And that's basically what it is. A woman naturally likes you, she loves you, she's going to follow you. There's, you know, other things to that to make that occur as well. You know, you got to have some Casanova with you. You know, you got to understand women. And in order to understand women, we all should have started young. When you start at a certain age, you know, and you stay continuing with your practice of women over time, you know how to make judgment calls at this age. If you don't do that, then you're shot. You know, if you don't got a good number of women underneath your belt by the age of 25, it's over. You know, you're going to be done for the rest of your days, basically. You know, because one thing you have to understand is that older men are at girls when you're around the same age, 14, 15. So there's other men around, you know. Yeah, it all comes out later on interviews and on the news and whatnot, but that's what's going on. So if you're not at 14, 15 years old, 16 years old, because this is also a part of your stages of maturity, and you know, you go through puberty, you learn a lot of things about women, you learn things about yourself, you know, and that's when those experiences are to occur. That's basically law. You see, if you don't do this, this is law. You know, this is a biological law. There's really not, you know, much of a, you know, I mean, yeah. And what that's truly based on is your testosterone levels. So, and that's based on how you were born into the world. So for people who are, you know, there's effects for your communication with women when you're born by C-section or when you're not breastfed. It goes into those levels, you know, it goes into diet. So there's a lot of things that goes on pertaining to, you know, what the breakdown issue is in between men and women nowadays, you know. But those are some of the root things. I'm guessing everybody here is around 35 or older, you know, we should have been doing, because we're really the last generation to be created off of real food, if you understand the dynamics of what's going on nowadays. You know what I'm saying? You know, so there's large separation in a lot of different areas, but I don't think anything about marriage is feminine. You know, the true marriage is if you love each other. It's got to be a mutual thing. You know, I've never been married. I'm a single father. I got 2 kids, you know, so yeah.
All right. Go ahead, White.
I got a question. The guy 720. Did we ever discuss this specific thing?
What do you mean?
Have I ever talked to you about this concept before in life?
No.
Where
I
did
don't
you derive it?
Huh?
Where do you derive that number? Because I said the same thing weeks and weeks ago, and that's why I was like, "Damn, you got the same information." How you come to this?
What you mean around the age range?
The maturation process, the necessity to gain experience, and the age range. Where did you?
Well, from my own experience, and then from my own experience, and then being at this age now and seeing all the complications that's going on, seeing all of the passport bros, and seeing all the problems that men are having with women, and there's a lot of reasons for that. In society, they clouded up a lot of our time with things, so we didn't have a lot of direct communication with girls. I guess for some people, I don't know. Well, everybody has their own shoes to wear and what their own experience in life has been. But yeah, from my own experience, and then I read a lot of books. I read a lot of books about these subjects. So,
Okay. All right, coming to you, Outlaw. Is marriage today built for men, or has it become too feminized?
Only way I think marriage would become feminized if that man allows it, right? You know what I'm saying? You as a man, you lead your household. And, I know things change and people can change once you get married, but to me, you're supposed to establish those things with the woman you choose to be your wife prior to. You know what I mean? You set the tone of how that relationship is going to be going forward. So if you're in a feminized marriage, it's because you allowed it. It's because you made that conscious decision to be in a scenario where you weren't, calling the shots. You weren't being the masculine one in the marriage to lead your household. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. We always say things can't happen, but you as a leader, it's up to you. You know what I mean? And I don't agree with Sherm on that happy wife, happy life. It's happy house, happy spouse. You dig what I'm saying? Like you can't put all of your energy into just making sure she happy. The hell with happiness. Everybody ain't gonna be happy every day anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's about duty and service and responsibility. You know what I mean? And that's why I always cringe when I hear that happy wife, happy life. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my take on it. You dig? Oh, glad to be back on the panel too. I know I was gone the last couple of weeks, man. Y'all know what it was.
All right, go ahead, Will. Is marriage today built for men, or has it become too feminized?
Marriage today is definitely not built for men. I don't know. I don't know why people would even think that, because the institution of marriage is bigger than the couple, because the government's involved. So if the institution of marriage was just about the man and the woman, then yes, you could say it's built for men, or it could potentially be built for women. Depends on the dynamics of how we construct it. But because the government is involved and the government weighs heavy in the women's favor in all aspects, marriage is not built for men. Now, I got a question for Sherm and Outlaw. I'm gonna ask Outlaw first because he just went. Outlaw, what is a happy house? Happy house.
When things are going as planned, right? When you're raising your family the way you want to, when you have a happy house, it's pretty self-explanatory. That's no coding in that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I asked because I was confused, right? I would think you said happy house, happy spouse. I would think happy spouse, happy house, right? Because
I mean, it's the same. That's semantics, bro.
That's why,
you know what I mean?
That's why I asked. Maybe you were saying the same thing, but you said it in that particular order. So I'm like, okay, let me see. Maybe he got an analogy he gonna hit me with.
Now, I didn't even think. You know what? I ain't even think about it that way. I'm just saying the flip side of that happy wife, happy life shit.
I got you. Sherm, are men the de facto leaders? Well, actually, that question is for you and Outlaw. Actually, are men the de facto leaders?
Real men.
It just depends on the dynamics. I feel like sometimes the women could be a leader in the marriage. It's depending on the dynamic, though.
Okay, so Sherm, you say real men?
Mm-hmm.
What you mean?
If you're in a marriage and you and your wife is the leader of the household, that's to me, that sounds like a failing marriage.
No,
You know
I'm
what
asking you, what's a real man? Like, when you
so
say
a
real
man
man, how do
so
you?
a man leads out the gate, right? You know, though he understands that those decisions that he makes is going to be for the better good of his family. A real man is someone that stands on his word. What he says he means it. You know what I mean? Not flaking, not doing something, changing his mind just because he's worried about somebody's feelings. You stand on your word, right? You make the decisions for your house and you stand on what you believe in, regardless of if if it's going to cause somebody some type of emotional trouble, or if they won't feel a certain way about it, or if they don't agree with you. You stand on it. And those decisions that you make, you also claim the responsibility for the decisions that you do make. That's, to me, a real man in the household. Would you disagree?
Yeah.
So what would you say
Because
is,
I think
okay,
that's just character and honor. I don't think that's necessarily a real man. I think that, well, I don't want to derail it, but I mean, I got a question for everybody at some point. We don't got to answer it now, but I'll just put it out there right now, and then we can come back to it later, JR. I wrote it down so I won't forget to ask everybody. But how does a man establish that he's the leader? I mean, if he's not the de facto leader, if it's not known that everybody's entering into this dynamic together, and he is saying to himself, I'm the leader, and she is saying to herself, he is the leader, and then they are coming together and agreeing that he is the leader, because that does not happen.
Well, the first part of that is to find a woman who is willing to be led. And two, you have to have leadership qualities.
That's cliche.
That's a direct answer.
No, I mean, find a woman that's willing to be led.
so
Yeah, like a woman
And
who is not combative, a
that
woman
goes
who
back.
is cooperative, a woman who will trust in your decision making. That's a woman who wants to be led. A person who will consult with you about major decisions. And these are things that you can find out early. You know if a woman is pushing back. You know if a woman doesn't believe in you. Like this, in the courting phases and the dating phases, you'll find out very easily if a woman is
be real.
actually.
Be real, Fred. Have you ever met a woman like that?
Yes.
We starting off like this tonight, huh?
Hey, can we keep it funky
You know what?
here?
It seemed like you be in a bubble sometimes.
But
like,
I mean,
it's not just these women aren't. It's not a monolith. Like there's different
Like-
types
like-
of women, and I'm not even here to say that this is the majority of women. That would be cap, right? But there are
We know that.
absolutely women. We absolutely know that there are women who want to be led, right? Does your woman want to be led?
hey, Trev,
Dude, I don't think any of these women
right?
want
Like
to.
all these.
I don't think any of these.
Listen,
I
don't know how you gentlemen pick wives.
I think a woman will
but-
digress from her and start to submit, but these women don't come submissive and wanting to be led, bro. I never meet women who are custom built to be led.
Shit.
Hey, can I interject?
Damn.
Can I interject real quick?
Damn.
Can I interject? So
Yeah,
you
go
ain't
ahead.
never pulled no woman's hair before?
Pulled a woman's
Who?
hair.
Yeah, while you hitting the doggy style, you ain't never threw her into
Dozens.
the wall, bro. You ain't never did the WWE with a woman, bro.
Who that question for, Will?
Because you the one asking the question. That is the submission line right there. And if you don't understand that, then you ain't had the experiences, brother. You need to, that's the dynamic. It's the mammal kingdom. This is how us humans and animals operate. If you don't got her if you can't put her in submission in the bed, bro, then you ain't gonna have her in submission in life.
Well, hold on. So help me understand something. So you tell me the submission starts in the bedroom.
Yeah, starts with your Mackin, starts with your Casanova,
No,
starts with whatever Frank Sinatra you gonna put on it.
It can't start in 8 different places. It has to start in one
No,
place.
well, communication first is what I'm referring to. Communication and quote unquote what they call swag nowadays, okay, or your riz, okay. So if you don't have any, you don't have the colognes on, you know, you ain't affecting her nose, you ain't got no game for her, you can't show her, introduce her into new things, because a woman doesn't necessarily have to be a virgin at the vagina, but she has to be virgin in experience in certain things. You know, have you ever took her snowboarding? You know, did you take her, you know, these type of things? Like this is how you lock in a woman, bro. I've been through 2 relationships, 10 years apiece. I've delivered children, I've pimped women. You talking to a whole nother beast right now, doc. I got an encyclopedia I wrote on. I know what I'm talking about, bro.
Did you say you pimped women? Like literally?
Yeah, I've pimped before. It was years ago, but it happened. It's a part of the understanding. You know, it's just another side of the wall. That's all.
No, I dig it.
This is no, I don't dig it.
You know,
I don't dig it.
You know what? Hey,
I didn't hear anything that would lead me to believe that you.
Okay, let me put it to you real. Let me put it to you a lot more smoother.
Okay.
If on a biological level, there's oxytocin. Do you know what oxytocin is?
Explain it to us.
Oxytocin is the chemical of love. Biologically, it's located inside of a woman's uterus, and it usually comes out when she gives birth. Okay, and it is a chemical that makes her fall in love with the child and the child to fall in love with her. It's a real strong buttery scent. Okay, I was in the room when my first son got delivered, and I experienced it there. My second son, I delivered in my living room, and it's on YouTube right now. There's a video of it. Okay, so when you know, having sexual relations with her, oxytocin is to be released as well, and that's part of the chemical that makes, you know, you fall in love with you. So if you can't reach that chemical, which is underneath the belly button, then you're not going to get to that space of receiving submission.
So let me ask you a question. As a pimp, and I'm not trying to get in your personal business.
That was 10 years ago. So, you know, but go ahead.
I'm not trying to pry into your personal business. I'm just trying to test the logic.
All right.
Did you sleep with all the women that you pimped?
No.
Okay, but they somehow submitted to you.
Right, because it's business.
Oh, wait. I don't care what it is. They submitted to you. So submission does not require the bedroom.
But it required other women. Women are attracted to a man who's dominant over other women. So, so the girls that I did know, let me give you the details to it. The girls that did work for me.
Before you do that, I don't care what women are attracted to. I'm proving to you that the bedroom is not a requirement for submission. You started your argument off with, have you ever pulled a woman's hair, threw up against the wall?
Well, I thought you were talking about happy house, happy spouse lane.
All right, hold on. Take a break, guys. Let me get Law back in there because I know he was trying to get in there.
Yeah, man. Y'all ever hear the most vile feminist woman will say, I've heard them say this: the right man will make a woman submissive, right? You hear them say that. Even the worst will say that, but it's some truth to it. You know what I'm saying? It's some absolute truth to it. If you are that guy for that woman that you seeking, she will be submissive for you. You know what I'm saying? And if she isn't, then you had no business marrying her, because as we said, you should have learned that before you even got to that point. If y'all weren't working out and jiving in and she wasn't submitting in the girlfriend role, she ain't going to submit in the wife role. So I don't even know, you know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't even get to that point. Now, I know people change and this, that, and the other, but come on, man. Like, let's stop being like you said, for lack of a better terms, let's stop living in a bubble and see it for what it is. You know what I mean? Like, you mean to tell me, Will, that you haven't had a woman be submissive to you as much as you talk about what you do for your woman?
That's not what I said. Every woman I've ever been submitted to me.
So why are you saying don't none of these women want to be submissive if you've already
come. They don't come that way. I asked y'all, how do y'all get a woman to, like, how do y'all establish that y'all are the leader? That's what I asked y'all.
The
Y'all
same way
said
you
find a
do in
woman.
any room. The same way you do in anything you do.
Y'all still haven't said it though. Y'all haven't said it.
Man,
Trump
I already
said,
told
find a
you,
woman.
get the oxytocin out of her. Humans are
He's saying
chemically
have
controlled.
sex. He's saying have sex. That's what he's saying.
Nah, I'm
That's how you
saying
get
have
it.
skilled sex, so you better have the right size phallus to get the job
Again,
done, is
sex,
what I'm saying.
sex.
And if you
He's
can't do
saying
that,
sex.
then you see what I'm saying?
So that's
It's
how
not just, you know.
y'all subscribe to that. That's how you get a woman to submit to you is through sex.
That's after the
Bro,
fact.
you're
I
not
didn't say that.
you
I
trying
didn't
to
say
keep it
that.
simple. I said
Of course, you gotta
oxytocin.
keep it simple. You complicate
No, listen,
things.
oxytocin. Well, it's a medical fact. You have to understand this. This is medical. I'm teaching you.
All
It's
right.
not nothing, and I'm not necessarily teaching you. I'm just stating this for the sake of the argument. Oxytocin, you can look it up. Okay, this is the chemical of love. It's located in her uterus. If you can't get it out, you can forget about it, bro. What do you think all the squirt and all this other shit? What do you think they're doing, bro? I mean, they get it out themselves, bro. They have to. The uterus creates a lot of fluid in a woman's body. You know.
All
Hey
right,
man, shout out to the brothers
let's
that
go
can
and
get
get
the
back on.
oxytocin.
Yeah, let's go and get
Shout
back
out
on
to the
topic. Go ahead, Hink. Is marriage today built for men, or has it become too feminized?
Yeah, let me get there at this because I feel like this is goddamn April Fool joke today, and they didn't told you about it, Jay. I'm gonna let it know it's got to be one of you goddamn April Fool jokes, man. Shit, this is crazy. Let me say this: is marriage built for man, or is it become too feminized? Look, I don't think it's feminized. You know what I'm saying? I don't think so. Now, is it built for man? Not men who's going to end up who could probably suffer in divorce. No, it's not built for them. But like think like all said, man, if you get that right woman, man, and you can end it on you know, saying go through your lifespan and to the day y'all die, man, it's a blessing. And a lot of fellas never had that opportunity to experience that. I pray and hope that every man up here who decides to say I do with a woman lives that blessing. I hope I do it myself. You know what I'm saying? And every man who's looking to get married, I hope they live to the lifetime. I hope they never have to suffer of what I suffered back in 2016. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But as far as if a woman is submissive, damn, you know, look, if she's not, you're gonna know it. You're gonna know it early. They got certain language about them that shows them that they're not. Look, let me say this. I would encourage every man, if you're not looking or entertaining or vetting a woman who doesn't have a father figure, don't waste your time. More than likely, that heifer ain't submissive because she don't know how it does for a man to talk to her, to speak to her, who has control over her life. She has no idea, and she's not going to receive it. If she's raised by a single mother, guess what? She's going to be just like that heifer, overly independent. All men ain't shit. I can't stand your baby daddy. And she's a future baby mama in the making. So don't waste your time with those type of women. Make sure that woman's got a head on the shoulder. She believes in hierarchy. That's another thing that's very important. You know what I'm saying? Make sure she's all about gender roles. That's another thing will help you if she's submissive or not. If she's not those things, you wasting your goddamn time. Or, I guess like my man said, get that oxytocin floating. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. And then maybe you can get a submit from there. I don't know. I'll leave it there.
All right, go ahead, White. Is marriage today built for men, or has it become too feminized?
Well, yeah, I agree with the brothers who said the foundation of how you marriage in itself is a contract, right? So that's one thing. But the way you structure that contract, the same way you structure a prenup, the same way you structure the beginning of the relationship and what's acceptable within that relationship, it's all dependent on you. So if you're in a relationship and you feel like it's ran in a feminine manner, you got to look yourself in the mirror. Because at the end of the day, you set the rules, boundaries, and parameters for which you exist in, that you allow or invite somebody into that space. So if you can't set clear boundaries, it will be feminine. It'll be extremely feminine because she's running over your lines and you don't know how to maintain respect as a man. But if you are able to maintain your boundaries and stand on it and be back to what we were saying a couple weeks ago about being willing to walk away or understand when the deal that you presenting isn't being respected. Yeah, as long as you can do those things, it's not gonna be feminine at all. It's gonna be real smooth and real copacetic.
All right. Let me get to these super chats before I get to the next question. AP Accountability Partner $5 says it's not happy wife, happy life. It's more like happy spouse, happy house. Salute, gentlemen. AP again. $5 says the women may control the temperature of the house, but we have the power to shut the electricity off. And lastly, AP again, $2 says, Law stole my point. Y'all got to stop with the laughing emojis. Thank you, AP, for contributing. Moving on to our next question for the panel. Anybody can go ahead and kick it off. As you've gotten older, has your value as a man increased? Do you feel like you now have the leverage you didn't have when you were younger? I'll talk at once.
In my specific case, I think that the value increased, but so my skill set increased, my wisdom increased, my leadership capabilities increased, the income level at this point, I would say decreased, because there's a difference between trying to make millions and millions of dollars versus, not making millions and millions of dollars. So, and from that one standpoint, I would say it decreased. But when it comes to like available options or opportunities, that's women in this day and age, which is why I kind of say the things I say about the data market, to me seem more forward than ever, more willing to try to find or land a man than ever in my lifetime of experience. The amount of, I don't want to call it desperation, but it's another word for it, for women that are actively trying to seek a man in this day and age. I think it's a lot. If they value you to Law point earlier, if you're the type of man that they want, then they're willing to do damn near anything to make sure they can get you in their life or keep you in their life. The leverage from when I was young is different from that specific case. But if I was to answer in general, I would think most men gain the leverage the older they get. Probably 30 plus is when they actually have leverage. They secure in their careers, or they have managed to put some form of a nest egg to the side, and all the other things is applicable. The wisdom, the leadership, the self-sacrifice, all those things are things that you acquire as an older man for most people. And the experience necessary to be able to successfully lead a relationship, a family, or get to the next point is things that you had to go through your youth to get to 720 point earlier, from 14, 15, 16, 17, where you're learning how to talk to women adequately and how to, read the room and understand body language, understand cues, understand all the things that matriculate into being able to effectively communicate to get the desired results you want.
All right.
I agree. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where I think, yeah, as you get older, your value does increase, because it's just different things that we all know. That's pretty much fact. A man's value increases with age and time, right? He's able to obtain different things like knowledge, wealth in some cases, you know what I mean? You get that life experience. Whereas, as a young man, you don't necessarily have that leverage, right? Your value isn't nearly as high. All you got is when you're young is a hard dick. You know what I'm saying? Like, and hopes and hopes. You know what I'm saying? That's all you really get. So value does increase the older that you get. And then the leverage that you have now is going to be, is like you said, is very different. Your leverage that you have now is going to be based on those things that you were able to attain, how wise you've become, what have you done in that time frame that will become attractive to a woman. You know what I mean? Those are some of the things that women are actually attracted to. It's some shit that you might have done. Kenny P in the building, what up?
So
yeah,
I'll say this.
It's my stance.
My bad. Okay. I would say it depends on what you mean by older men, right? So I do believe, like, if you're in your 40s, I'd say even like up to lower 50s, you have the ability to attract more women based on what it is most women are looking for. So what I normally see, and this is anecdotal, but women, because you have a lot of things that the gentleman mentioned, like of course, your wisdom, you'll be more financially established. And if you keep up with yourself, then yeah, you'll be able to access those women in your 20s you could have never got when you were 20, all the way up into, the 50s, whatever, right? You pretty much had that on lock, right? As long as you were keeping up with yourself. Now, you can't look nasty and think that that's still going to work. Some women will still get with you, but you just got to really be concerned with their intentions. A lot of things. One thing we never really mentioned is that there's still a fall off, right? Men do have a wall also. If you start getting into like your 60s and all that, it's not just the older you get. So there's a drop off for sure. Once you up in the 60s and all that, your options become more and more limited, right? Not to say you won't get nothing, but you ain't gonna get nothing like you was 40s if in your 60s. It's not the same, because there's only but so much wisdom you're really going to gain. There's a certain amount, and we kind of get our peak in our 30s and 40s. That's where our peak market value is. But after that, there's also a fall off for men too.
All right.
Guess I'll go. No, my value has increased, but my leverage has always been the same. I've always dealt with women who weren't as intelligent as me. That's just a fact. I mean, women have always been drawn to my intellect, my wittiness, my humor. I've always possessed that. I've always been able to finagle my way around women since I was in high school. Now, I couldn't do it from a position of strength with finances. I couldn't do it from a position of strength with assets, but I was able to do it with the position of strength of the things they were looking for. When I was younger, women weren't looking for a man with assets. They weren't looking for a man necessarily with a lot of money. If you can make them smile, oh yeah, they in there. You can make them laugh, oh yeah, you in there. And I've always possessed that wit. I've always had that intelligence. And God just blessed me with the ability to speak well to women and know how to converse with them. So I've always had the leverage, but just not from a position of financial strength or asset. So no, but yes, my value has increased as I got older.
All right. What about you, Sherm? As you gotten older, has your value as a man increased? Do you feel like you now have the leverage you didn't have when you were younger?
I definitely feel like it does increase, because the more you work, the more resources you will accustom, and the more resources you have, the more women you can attract, especially if it's publicly noted and people are aware of what you do and what you've been doing over time. You know what I mean? So if you've been grinding on one thing, achieved some goals, achieved material wealth and things like that, people are going to notice, and then your value is going to go up. So I definitely feel like that is true. And also, the older you get, like say a man in his 40s, now he could reach down and reach up a little bit as far as his choice of women. And then the older a man gets, the more women he will have to choose from. Hold on. The older a man gets, the more women he could also choose. So that also increases his value as well. So when you're 20, you could date, 20 to 18 or a little bit older. But when you 40, you could go all the way down to 25 through, 40 or whatever the age may be. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely will say that.
All right. What about you, God? 720. As you gotten older, has your value as a man increased? Do you now have more leverage than you had when you were younger?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's the main focus, is your finances, is your money. That's a mandate with existence. So of course, yeah, my value has gone up. Was there an extension to the question?
Do you feel like you now have more leverage now than you did when you were younger?
I go off the original rules. If she likes me, she likes me. I don't even play the game with trying to floss for a woman. You know what I'm saying? I look good. I keep myself because I'm You know, I have manners. I carry myself like when it's professionally in society, you know. But yeah, it's never been a floss game for me with women, you know. Like I said earlier, you know, those are things that you should have been practicing on at 15, 16, you know. So you'll learn, you know, trial and error.
When you say floss, do you have to floss in order to get leverage?
Well, that's what leverage is, isn't it? You're showing social status symbols, right? Vehicle, expenses at going out repetitively. That's what how value is predicated in society, right?
No, I don't.
So I answered the leverage question from a different aspect. I didn't even I could see how you could get to the point where you're saying leverage is the things that they can see so you could utilize those. But I was saying value as a man can be leveraged in a different way the older you get, right? So there's a
Oh, you
presence.
mean like mechanical understanding, fixing things around the house. You know, if she gets sick, you're there for assistance. Is that what you're referring to?
So like the quiet power that you acquire through the confidence of being self-sufficient and the experience throughout life, then intermingle that with the value that you provide as a man that a woman can radiate, that it radiates from you, that attracts women to you. I think that grows as you grow as a man, where you have a presence about you and it can attract all forms of women based off of the value. And it's not even just relegated to women. That value that you provide as a man also can help you with networking or help you in you know, just in all aspects of life.
So you're basically saying like your aura.
Your aura, for the
Oh, okay,
intangible side.
well, your aura is built off of the experiences you have in life and what you have attained. And that's what everything is truly balanced on. I'm trying to understand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying, you know, your leverage with a woman is going to be based upon, you know, your masculinity or your manhood, right? Right. So that means any bloke, any male that just is standing on two legs, right? That's what you're saying? Like we all have that. No, we all have different experiences and what we can provide to the female and how we can secure her, you know. And if you don't have a certain amount of experiences or finances that can, you know, substitute for those experiences or whatever you're protecting, you know, then what do you have?
So real quick, guy 720.
Right.
I was just gonna ask you because, like the way that you kind of phrase that, particularly when you did your first answer, that sound, you know, what I mean, kind of trickish. But you know, about 15
What do you mean
minutes ago, we was
trickish?
like if you leading with the wallet, right? Let's say you lead with your wallet, and then you saying that, all right, like you trying to show them things, and the money. You were definitely talking about money at that point, right? And
Well,
that's
in the
kinda,
beginning, as I said, I don't operate like that. I've never had to operate like that.
no,
So that's why
I'm
I
not
was
saying
trying to
you.
find out what the definition of the leverage and the value was, because
I'm not
I've
saying
never
you
operated.
operated like that. I'm just saying your philosophy is contrary, because like 15 minutes ago we was talking about, you know what I mean, pimping, and this sounded like kind of tricking. So I was
What do you mean tricking though? I'm trying to
when you
figure
talking
what
about
he's predicating his
Easy
leverage
now,
or
Fred.
value.
Easy now.
I'm not.
no. I'm just talking about the philosophies. It's a bit contrary to what you were saying a little bit ago. That's all I'm saying, because this
What
what we were just
philosophy?
talking about from what you just gave right now, the way you explained it, it kind of sounded like you were leading with the wallet from what you described about the leverage.
No, I'm asking him how he's defining the value of man. Like he's stating that as we grow older, a man has a value. I'm trying to see what
Okay.
that value is. How are you balancing the value? How do you define the value? Because every man is not the same. So then you're talking about something that's average amongst all of us. That's where I'm trying to find out where the leverage and the value is at. You see what I'm saying?
Nah. But go ahead. Don't worry about it.
So then
So-
what is
He was saying
what
it's
is
a
the
question.
value that,
He was
let me
asking
ask you
what the
then,
question was.
what is the value that you give a woman as you grow older? That is what we were stating, right? Am I wrong?
So
Yeah, and so the point between I know what Trev is asking. He's saying that if you, I don't want to go down this road, but if you got the ism in you, then you would never associate value with monetary. And the point y'all getting confused on is you weren't associating that with your value. You was asking, was that the definition of how you were defining value? Was it just finances?
Right, because that's how society operates. That's not specifically how I operate.
No, and
like
I wasn't even
said,
I wasn't trying to put that jacket on you or nothing. I was just saying the philosophy, like how you explained it versus how what you were saying a few moments before.
I mean, for the
That's all I
record,
was
we're
saying.
asking about how you and not necessarily society. So I'll make sure that I include that when I do ask the questions. But we want to know what you personally think.
what I personally think about value as a man when you grow older and what you can provide to a woman. You better have it. You better have some value, whether that's financially or your intelligence.
All right. Go ahead, KP. It's on you, bro.
Peace to the panel. All those answers sound provocative. When you're over 50, if you got somebody that's cleaved to you, like I've said before, you can't put a dollar value on the things that you instill if you are that man. Your value is now embedded in that woman. Y'all are now a pair. That means if you lost all your money, she should be able to bear the weight. If you took sick, she should be able to wipe your ass. It's no longer a dollar value because this is going to be my life partner. I'm on the other side of 50. I hope that I've made the right decision, that I can see you to a grave or you see me to a grave, and we live the rest of our lives in a grand position. Men accrue wealth over time. That is attractive to many women. That's a given. But when you see the forest through the sleeves, is that woman the one that fix you a hot plate or ask you about your day rather than say, give me a want to lead the conversation, rather than ask for a Birkin bag of things that don't matter? Men over 50, the majority of them see the value in a person rather than the value in a dollar. And they know how to differentiate, the majority of them anyway. I'll leave it right there.
All right. Go ahead, Ink. It's on you, bro.
So as far as a man of a certain age, man, look, they're going to see value because your experience, your wisdom, and the knowledge that you're going to bring to the table. I mean, hopefully you are financially in a good place and stable and set, saying for what you are. But it's more than just about the money. It's about the experience that you bring, the knowledge, a certain level of patience and understanding that you have in your late ages, because you learn how to maneuver and operate and to get around, but some, I don't know, some people don't never learn that. That's unfortunate. And so if a woman is dealing with a man like that, it's a bad, you made a bad investment. But like I said again, for a man for a certain age, you ought to have these certain traits about you. Some of that stuff should have been shown before your late age, before you got to a certain age. Now the experience parts, well, that's going over time. But it's having some level of patience. Hopefully you have that when you do say I do with a woman. You know what I'm saying? Because I think what's the average age right now is what, 29, 30 for us men to get married. So by then you have to have some level of patience that you're able to instill on a woman. I'll leave it there.
All right. Go ahead, Seth. It's on you. As you gotten older, has your value as a man increased? Do you feel like you now have the leverage you didn't have when you were younger?
Well, thanks for having me on, JR, and shout out to all the fellas on here. Big Will, Kenny P. It's good to see you, brothers. Yes, absolutely. Because as I've become older, I've obtained a lot more things financially, and I've also learned a lot in my life. Like all these other brothers been talking about, the bumps and bruises that we all go through as men. I think I'm in my 50s, so I'm the oldest brother on the panel, I'm assuming. And looking at when I was a younger brother in comparison to where I'm at now in my life, I've seen that my value has definitely exponentially gone up. Just my ability to provide resources, take care of certain things that I couldn't do when I was much younger.
So, at what age did you say that? Have you been feeling that same way since you've been in your 40s, your 30s, or did you start to notice the change when you was in your 50s?
So I always, Will and I were talking about this a while back. I always say like 40 was the magic number for me. So I joined the military, so I was out on my own early in my early 20s. But it's something about when I turned 40, fellas, that financially, it's almost like I really understood life, how things were operating. And I always say that my life has kind of been on autopilot ever since I've been 40.
Does that manifest in how women interact with you? Do you see a noticeable difference in pre-40 and post-40?
Yeah, well, I think too financially, we talk about these things too. Uh, I've started making a lot more money as I got older. So with that, I think that just women come naturally. Charles Barkley was joking with Kenny Smith one day, and Kenny Smith said, Charles, you're ugly, and Charles said, that's okay. I might be ugly, but I got money. So I got money. I'm always gonna have women, and that's always true to a certain extent. So as I've gotten older, I have noticed there have been more women.
Do you think if you were to remove the financial, not completely, but I don't know how much you make, but the financial leverage that what you gained as a man through your experience would still increase the amount of women or the way women operate with you?
I think some of it would fall off if I had to be fair, yeah. But I can't say for a fact, but I typically like to think that the women that I have dealt with, the woman that I'm with now, is not with me because of my money. It's because she likes me as a human being and how I treat her as a man.
All right. Everybody answer this question. Did I skip anybody? Okay. I think you're trying to stay away from it, Law. I don't think you answered the question, though. Oh, you did? All right. And my next question is, are older men raising their standards, or do some have no standards at all? I'll put it at the
So
bottom.
you would hope as you get older, you would raise your standards. Your standard would be, because with the experience you have, your standards should increase. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, I think a lot of dudes, they decrease. I mean, I think most dudes now is to that point where they's like, fuck it, they ain't got no goddamn standards. Look, I mean, I'm hearing dudes, they don't care if a woman know how to cook or not. That sounds crazy to me. There's no way I could accept that shit. But there's dudes that feel like that. Now, I don't know if it's because modern technology, because you can go out and just DoorDash or order your food and deliver your door. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't give a damn if they do deliver. My woman needs to know how to cook so I can have a goddamn hot meal. This is crazy. But those are some of the standards that I have, an expectation I have for my wife that most dudes don't have. They don't care. They don't care about if she's educated or not. Look, I don't want a dumbass woman. I want my woman to be smart, have an education, believe in education. Because guess what? I want our kids to be influenced by her education. Because she's going to be the first teacher of our kids. So I need to have her smart enough to know how to communicate, know how to educate, know how to teach, know how to interact, know how to be peaceful. And if she don't know how to do that, that's some bullshit. Dudes are willing to, man, look, she don't talk crazy to me. I don't care how she acts to y'all. No, that sounds crazy because she represents you. If she's carrying your last name, she represents you. Why the hell would you want your woman to be acting foolish just because she don't bring it home? But please believe you me, that heifer gonna bring that shit to you eventually. It's only a matter of time. So why would you just accept that, be okay with that? I'll leave it there.
So for me, my standards increased as I got older. So when we were talking about like going through the dating process as a young man, right? You kind of learn that what you like and don't like, and that allows you to filter and create the standards that you're willing to so you're looking for the ideal candidate or match. Like for me, femininity is a huge thing, and a woman that understands to Hank earlier point about how she's supposed to respect her man and the way in which she shows love. So maybe when I was 20, 21, I might not have understood fully the importance of like complete submission. But as I got older, it's a non-starter. If you don't understand that concept and willing to understand, like, hey, this is how I want to live my life. These the boundaries that I'm setting. These the XYZ. If you're not fitting into that, it's nothing that we can do. It's nothing. You know what I'm saying? On some long term shit, it's absolutely nothing I can do that with you. And that pickiness comes through experience, which came through age. And for the men that have not had the experience to be able to date these different type of women, to see like not all women are crazy, like not all women are naggers, not all women are this way, not all women are that way. The things that you despise the most, you can find women that don't operate like that. It's just got to be a boundary that you set that you won't tolerate, so you're never dealing with it. You can kind of tell some of the issues that men are allowing by what they complaining about, right? So if you complaining about your woman constantly nagging you or spending all the money and doing XYZ, that's something you did not set a clear boundary around and enforce correctly, if that makes sense.
Go ahead, Will.
Man, now y'all know Negroes ain't got no standards. They ain't picky at all. They gonna sleep with what they can sleep with. Picking up lot lizards, drunkards, damn near crackheads, weed heads, hookah heads, twerk heads. I mean, I'm just being real, man. I don't know why we come up here every week and lie. Like just constantly say what sound good, talk about our individual self as if it's what the average guy is like. I mean, let's just keep it real. I don't think any of y'all think that y'all are average. Now, y'all might be average as hell, but I don't think any of y'all, we got the female Delulu brain at times. We think of our experiences and then we extrapolate that over dudes. Most dudes are losers. Do y'all actually think that losers are raising their standards as they're getting older? No, they're getting more desperate. As you get desperate, your standards lower. Successful men may raise their standards. The average man is not successful. The average man is making the average black man makes under $50,000 a year. Y'all think that the average man just income just grows because he's getting older? No. He's still in the same tax bracket most of his life. And if he hasn't figured out how to get women when he's young, vibrant, with energy, you think he's going to make it harder on himself as he starts to get older and arthritis starts setting in? Y'all got to keep it real, man. Like our conversations on here be they be somewhat real, but then we get into that little Cinderella and Snow White, like I told y'all. We get into the whole, talk about from ourselves. Like, no, bro, listen, when I was dating, even when my value went up, like Hink said, I would date from a 2 to 10. I'll date a woman as low as a 2. Well, not really date her,
kick it with her. You know what I'm saying? 2, y'all telling me up here that y'all not dealing with girls or y'all haven't dealt with girls that was 3s and 4s. I know y'all lying. And if y'all not lying, y'all
said that?
women.
We all did.
How
Well,
all
look,
these ugly, hold on, how all the alleged ugly, heavyset or fat women are getting pregnant and getting men? Like, how they getting pregnant? How they having sex if ain't nobody hitting it? Y'all think only the young boys is hitting these women? Y'all think the women in their late 30s and early 40s are just being hit off by young, immature, horny boys that ain't got no standards?
Yeah, we get it.
720 say he a pimp. I know he hitting off ugly chicks. I know he hitting off ugly chicks.
Will send me your number in the back chat. I'm seeing.
So look, right.
So look,
right.
Go ahead.
You got it, Trev. No, Trev, you got it. You was waiting already.
Okay. All right. I ain't gonna be long, bro. Pause. So JR took the time out to preface the question and said that this is personal to you. He just said that like a few moments ago. So that's why most people were answering a question like that. I know Will don't like it, so I'm gonna answer in both fashions, right, to satisfy everyone. So, but overall, I'm gonna say that men standards may not change in the way that we're talking about, but they're more fine tuned. I would say more fine tuned. And what Will had correct is based on how you set your life up. So if you drop the ball on life, then yes, your standards are absolutely going to decrease because shit, you ain't got access to nothing, right? But let's just say myself, I feel like I've played the game of life relatively well. So my standards, like let's just say homegirl fell off a cliff or something, I had to start over, then my standards would absolutely be increased, right? Because there's certain things that you may look for when you're younger that you wouldn't tolerate as you're older, right? There's certain things where you brought yourself to a certain place in life, then you're going to demand certain things. And being that you'll have more access to women, then of course you'll have a larger pool and you'll have more to select from. So you're going to exercise your options. That's just what any sound person would do. But Will is correct in the fashion of most men not having that ability to be able to raise their standards, right? If you are out of shape and now you're looking old, then you're probably going to have to start dealing with some busters out here, man. You're going to be dealing with some of the 3s and 4s because that's what you have access to. If your money ain't right and you ain't got nothing and you ain't got a serious mouthpiece, then you're going to have to do what it do. And that charisma only go but so far. If you don't look the part, if you don't smell the part, it's not really going to go nowhere. You got to have all that stuff to line up with you. So it definitely results may vary. We'll say that.
Go ahead, Law.
Yeah. So I agree with that. But you know what I'm saying, here's my thing. I feel like a man's standards only changes based on what he's looking for. And a lot of times the older a man gets, if he's not looking for nothing serious, he ain't gonna give a damn. You know what I mean? Your standards are based on what are you actually looking for. You know what I'm saying? If you need somebody just to catch it, shit, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta, they ain't gotta be everything you need. And a lot of older dudes aren't gonna be bothered with it because a lot of the women out here are obviously minds are not in the right place where they need to put in that much time and effort and try and train them or make them fit their will. So they use them for what they need and keep it moving. Which the older you get, I see if you don't have a family, I feel like that's the way it's gonna go anyway. If you don't have a wife and you starting to get older, yeah, you're probably gonna be, playing around a lot longer than some others. You know what I'm saying? You're probably not gonna take them too serious because why bother having standards if you don't have a desire to even, to start something. If you don't want to get married, what do you care? You know what I'm saying? That's why all these women out here loose because they don't have no standards for themselves. They're not looking to get married. They'll tell you they'd rather be a baby mama than be a wife. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
All right. We get some of these super chats right quick, and then I'll continue to see if anybody else want to respond to this one. AP $5 says, shout out to the brother, Ice Tea Bag. I hear you too, shorty. Get her squirming that oxytocin she release, you gotta. And if you leave, she'll cut you. Silver Fox on the panel, 999. Salute to the panel. Thank you, sir. Ikene, $2 says, Will, in translation, you know how to lie to women. AP Accountability Partner, $5 says, Sharm, is 2 topics in a row where you sound like you've tricked throughout your life. And of course, the pimp will co-sign. AP Accountability Partner, $5 says, in Pimp Talk, what Marcus is saying, as we get older, you're able to leverage your experiences to teach a eight-ish. Ish. Yeah. AP, Accountability Partner, $5 says, said must be Sharm's uncle. Gentlemen, your leverage is more than money. AP Accountability Partner, $5 says, Will, keeping it 100 tonight. We done all, except Marcus has bust down a sea lion before. Thank you, everybody has contributed. Anybody else on this question? Are men, older men, raising the standards? Let me get to this next one then. What does true wisdom look like when it comes to dating and relationships? What does true wisdom look like when it comes to dating and relationships?
Y'all.
Just go ahead and jump in, man. Don't wait on nobody to jump in.
I'll save mine for last.
You might be the only one, man. These gentlemen scared tonight, man.
Go ahead, Will, man. Go ahead, brother.
Now let the pimp go. The former pimp, sorry.
Come on, go ahead, Nancy. There you go.
Oh, I mean, come on now. Don't y'all want to hear from a former pimp?
Inspect.
Go ahead, man.
You inspect what you expect. When you're a certain age, you should already done got all your bumps and bruises and understood what you will accept and what you will not accept for a peaceful coexistence moving forward. You should be able to cut the fat in 30 seconds or less. If a woman isn't showing you those things that you could abide by, you'll live long enough to understand the tendencies, if you're around enough women, to say, okay, this is going to eventually disturb my peace. I have to bid you farewell. Be nice, pay for the last meal, and move on to the next thing.
All right. Go ahead,
All right,
Sharm. Go ahead, Trey.
All right, I go. So, with wisdom, right? You have to incorporate all 3 of the major words, right? Where it's experience, knowledge, and good judgment. So a lot of us will have the knowledge and experience. We'll see the red flags, but because she got a fat ass, we'll ignore it, right? Or because she got that Gawk 3000, we'll ignore it. Or because she a good look, or because she might have some bread, or whatever. She might have access to something that it is that you want. So a lot of us forget about that part, about the good judgment and learning from our mistakes, because a lot of us get those experiences and continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. And I think that's the most major part of it when you want to call somebody wise, that they actually are able to execute as a wise man and avoid the toxic situations, avoid that woman who is combative, and learn from your mistakes that people generally don't change for the better. You can't really beat a woman into submission. So once you see what a woman really is and once she show you her colors, then you have to kind of understand what it is that you're dealing with and be able to nip that in the bud and get rid of that situation immediately.
All right. Go ahead, 720.
Repeat the question for me.
What does true wisdom look like when it comes to dating and relationships? What does true wisdom look like when it comes to dating and relationships?
A very rare situation, but you know, a couple that's 60 been together for 40, 50 years, you know, 60 years. That's what true wisdom looks like in a relationship is, you know, it's a very rare situation, but it does occur where sometimes they could have grown up with each other or were neighborhood friends and stayed with each other for life. You know, they met each other in high school and was puppy love and stayed with each other for 30, 40, 50 years. That's what wisdom looks like. You know, the stories that they could tell you, you know. Besides that, maintaining your household, producing children that could be successful in society and contribute, um, children with manners, you know, what your production is from that relationship is, you know, what you give back to the world is the true wisdom line of a relationship. You know, what we would define as power couples, you know.
Okay, go ahead, Will.
Man, it's the I think we think too much like inside the box. We don't think outside the box. The wisdom comes from thinking outside the box. So in dating, gentlemen, the best way to gain wisdom is to do exit interviews with the women that you're no longer dealing with. Figure out what worked with her, what didn't work with her, why she acquiesced to certain things. What was it about you that made her want to acquiesce? Because a lot of times y'all get with these women, y'all think y'all just the man. Y'all think she just like you, or it's just, you know, because I this or because I that. And if you actually talk to her, she'll tell you a completely different reason for why she liked you. You walking around thinking you got X, Y, and Z intact. A lot of us think all women care about is money. Not all of us. I know all women don't care about money, and all men don't think that all women care about money, but majority of us do think that. So majority of us think that leading with our wallet is smart. Most dudes don't know how to talk to women. That's why I'm asking y'all. I asked y'all earlier, how is it that you establish that you're the leader? Because dudes can't articulate to me that how they establish that they're the leader within a relationship or within a dating dynamic. I'm like, where y'all gaining this wisdom from? Or are y'all just assuming that y'all know something because it makes sense to you? Do y'all actually talk to these women? See, I talk to women all the time. I talk to my ex, the girls that like them. What is it about me that you like? No, I like this. I like that.
Well, here's the thing about that. Women change the way they think and the way they answer questions over time during the course of their menstrual, when they're on their period. Their metabolisms are unbalanced. What they say yes to during the that's why women never ruled when it came to ancient civilizations. What are you talking about? You do know how religions create rules about women, right?
Yeah,
there's reasons why, right? Have we forgot?
I think Will's point was okay, because I think that different women like different things. So yeah, you can talk to your ex about what you've done right or wrong, but that may not work going forward with the next female because women are different. I do think that Trev and Kenny P had a good point when they talked about us and having wisdom in dating. I think it's discernment, right? It's learning what you're going to cut ties with, the red flags, those things that you should learn. You should know now at a certain age that we didn't know when we were younger men. And I think the biggest thing is discernment and vetting women better.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna go ahead and say you can't have wisdom on something that you haven't spent time on. Wisdom is being able to use the knowledge and experience that you've gained from different things that have gone on and navigating how to use that discernment, like he said, going forward. So you can't have wisdom on relationships if you ain't been in one. You know what I'm saying? Plain and simple. If you haven't been in any, you can't learn from those. You can learn from what somebody else told you, but the wisdom is going to have to come from your learned experiences. And I guess you can interview your exes, like Will said, and figure out what they say. But again, I don't know how valuable that's going to actually be. You know what I mean? Because that just tells you how you got yourself out of a relationship. I'm talking about you find somebody that's gained wisdom on staying in a relationship and making it actually work. That's who can give you some wisdom on relationships and dating.
So long.
Somebody that haven't been there, you're gonna tell them how to do it bad. Like if you want the outcome that somebody else has, ask them. What you
So
gonna say,
all the
Pete?
folks, I was gonna say, so all the folks that's single can't give any marriage advice according to your statement right now.
Yes. If somebody's single, you're not giving marriage advice. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you haven't been there. Not saying now, if you were once married, that's different. You have wisdom and experience based on your past, what you've learned. But if you haven't been married, don't give marriage advice. Plain and simple.
Are y'all thinking marriage is anything different than a regular relationship?
It absolutely is.
Okay, what's different about it?
Well, for one, it's I'm not even religious, but it is a covenant with God if you believe in that, right? You know what I'm saying? Between you, your spouse, and God. That's one way you can look at it.
Okay.
All right. But also it's also the foundation of building value in your family. You know what I'm saying? That's where it came from. What do you mean? Because when marriage was started, it was based on what did she have and come from versus what did you have and come from? And when it comes together, how does that work out? It was about building families. What are you talking about? Stop with the. You see what I'm saying? Stop with the.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm challenging what you're saying. I'm challenging it. Do you not want it to be challenged? Do you want me just to accept what you're saying? Because I can just accept what you're saying. But
well, I mean, every week you get on here.
So why do you think it's the same? Though?
Say it again.
Why do you think it's the same? Why do you think marriage and a committed relationship is the same as what you say?
Because it is the same. You can have a
I don't think so. Financially, I'm not financially, but okay.
All right, y'all. Let's let Will explain it. Right? Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and let him explain the reason why. Go ahead, Will.
People create lifetime bonds with people who they're just platonic friends with. 2 guys, 2 women, friends to the end, ride or die. They'll do sacrifice for each other, love each other, support each other. They'll do just about anything for each other, but be intimate with each other. True or false?
Yeah, that occurs.
Even if that is true, that's not a marriage.
I didn't say it was a marriage. I'm explaining something to you. True or false?
It happens, I guess. Yeah.
You guess. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. You saying people build these lifelong.
You saying
people who builds these lifelong.
I'm asking y'all a question.
And I said, sure, go ahead, explain it.
Hank, I asked the question, right? He said, sure, I guess. Like, are y'all saying that people don't have lifetime friendships with people?
Yes. So I answered it. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, brother.
And the only things that they're not doing is being intimate with each other and creating families with each other, right? These platonic friends.
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
So
go ahead.
So can that exist between the opposite sex who are not married and who do have intercourse with each other and who do create families? Can that not happen?
Yeah, it can, but it's still a difference, though, in my opinion.
Okay, that's cool. You can have a difference of opinion. I'm not mad at your difference of opinion. I'm saying the foundation of all of this stuff is in your thought process, your mentality. If you're committed to a person, you're committed to that person, whether you're married to that person or not. Now, if y'all want to say marriage is that foundation, there's a lot of married people who are not committed to each other. It doesn't matter that you went down there and said, I do. Oh, you shaking your head just like I was shaking my head. But there's a problem when I shake my head. I welcome you to challenge what I say. So 2 people can commit to each other and be ride or die for the rest of their life. They don't have to be married. Now, I'm not going to discourage people from getting married. If you want to get married, get married. I support it. I salute you. I wish the best for you. I'm never going to discourage someone from getting married. So don't think I'm anti-marriage. I'm pro-marriage. If you want to be married, go get married. But y'all got to stop acting like the marriage is the strength, is the intrinsic value of the relationship. No, your thought process, your commitment, that's what makes that other person be a valuable person to you. That's what makes
Hey, Will, can I ask you a question real quick? When you got married the first time, was it like a ceremony in front of your family, or was it like at the courthouse?
No, it was a huge wedding.
Huge wedding, and you basically had a ceremony in front of your entire family and hers.
Yes.
And you created a covenant in front of people that could also vouch for you and her and said, I'm going to be with this woman through it all, no matter what, sickness, health, all of that, right?
No.
That didn't happen?
You're saying I created a covenant in front of people or with people? Maybe I misheard you.
Okay, so the pastor and you and your wife, ex-wife, create a covenant, right?
Yes.
In front of people, in front of God, whatever. So I think that's like a very honorable thing, and people will hold you, accountable for remaining married.
No, they won't.
They won't.
No, they won't. Hell no. What are y'all talking? Bro, do you know how often people get
look, I don't know. Hold on, because you getting a nice run in, and I've been running to jump in there. Bro,
I've been quiet all
every
day.
time. No, you haven't. Every time you hop on here, you come and you try and feed us the same kind of trash you probably feed a woman that want to get married. You know what I'm saying, bro? Say that to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? All this, marriage ain't important shit. Come on, dog.
Did I say that?
It
Didn't I
actually
just say the opposite?
Listen, yeah.
Did I not just say the opposite?
You're
Did I
flip-flopping
not just
on
say
what
I value marriage? I will support somebody getting married. I would never encourage them. I will wish the best for them. So what are you talking about?
And out the other side of your mouth, you talked about how it's not this, that, or the other.
What did I say?
Hear it all the time.
Hold on, what did I say?
If you be quiet, I'll finish. Okay. So listen. So look, right? You know what I mean?
No, tell me what I said. Don't try to explain something. Tell me what I said.
Play it back. Be quiet for a second and play it back.
Tell me what I said.
Look, what I just explained what you said. 1 minute you saying you get on here every other week saying the same shit. And you talk that you feeding us the game. You feeding us the game that you would feed a woman that want to get married.
What did
you know
I
what I'm
say?
saying? You try, and then you start catastrophizing shit, trying to make it. Oh, I know married people that ain't committed.
What
talk you doing?
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Well, if you be quiet, I'm talking. That's the
nigga,
whole point.
You're not telling me what I said though.
Again, play it back. I'm speaking about what you said and how you talk.
You're speaking about
you know
it,
what I mean?
You're not gonna tell me what I said.
Speaking how you talk, because I know
what you think I meant, and you're gonna speak on that, but you're not gonna repeat what I said.
Like I said, every week, every time I've seen you get up here, especially the last couple of weeks when I was, you know what I'm saying, not on the panel, this is something that you do.
You hear now?
You know what I mean? And I want to call you out on it. What I'm telling you is
what I say.
Again, boy, shut up, man. Mute your mic or something. Let me finish.
I will. Okay.
Damn.
I want to hear this. All
I'm saying is you talk out both sides of your mouth. 1 second you try and come back and say, oh, but no, I support marriage. But then you try and tell cats, oh, don't do this and whatever the case. You know what I'm saying? You talk on both sides of your mouth. Then you sit here and try and feed us that same rigmarole that you tell old girl because she want to get married and you try and make her think it ain't important. Like, that's what it is. I hear it all the time. It's lame as hell, bro. Like, come on, man. And then you'll go back and catastrophize it and say, if somebody says something positive about it, man, no, I know married couples that hate each other. Come on, man. Everybody can say that. You can say that about anything. You know what I'm saying? Marriage is not the same as a committed relationship. You know what I mean? And you trying to make this weird ass point about platonic friendships. A platonic friendship ain't splitting everything down the middle and leaving you in a will so that you and your kids straight when you gone. Like, stop with this nonsense, man.
So what I say now, you still ain't told me what I said.
Look, I'm not gonna tell you what you said, but I'm gonna tell you my opinion. I won't tell you my opinion. Come on, man. We can't keep going in this circle, Will. Come on, bro.
We're not going in circles. Why don't you tell your boy to tell me what I said, Hink?
I don't have no boys up here.
Okay,
man.
well,
we all men. Don't do
respectfully,
that. Don't do that.
Hink, just give me an outlaw a few minutes. Just give us a few minutes. Outlaw.
All right.
I get on here week after week. Hold on, outlaw. I get on here week after week saying what?
you got this whole crusade about how you just want to make sure you're not getting married. Listen, we understand you were divorced once. You had a bad taste in your mouth from it. So now what you're doing is you're going around, and you're projecting your current feelings about getting married again out there on others. That's what I see.
Oh, but you're not gonna tell me what I said though. Can you tell me? You said I get on here week after week saying what? What do I say, sir? Can you tell me?
No, I'm not going to quote you word for word, bro. You know the
No,
nonsense you say.
paraphrase.
You can go back and watch it.
Paraphrase.
I
You
just
don't have to quote me.
paraphrased.
No, you
I
didn't, sir.
paraphrased
You
already.
didn't tell me nothing I said because I've never got on here and told brothers not to get married. You don't ever hear me spout those words. I just told you I support marriage. I believe in marriage. I'm waiting, sir. Y'all niggas get up here all the time and just talk. Y'all act like I'm talking out the side of my neck. Bro, you cannot sit here and tell me the stuff I say ain't thought-provoking, ain't making you sit there like, man, maybe he got a point there. See, you so caught up in just saying stuff that sound good, internet stuff.
I could listen. I only speak about real life, bro. You have no idea.
Tell me
what's
some
going
real
on.
life and
You
tell
have
me
no.
what I
You
said,
have
sir, so
no
we can move
idea.
on. Tell me real life so we can move on.
I stand on. Listen.
All right, I'm done.
Brother.
You
know what I'm
you
saying?
can't tell me what I said. I get on here week after
No,
week, as you
just your
stated, but you
buffoonish
can't
words.
say
I ain't
nothing that
got
I
to
said.
quote you back. I ain't got to quote you back to disagree with you.
You got it, JR.
Plain and
I
simple.
ain't gonna get
Okay.
on your panel and argue with these niggas.
Okay, I do have a question. If people say that they're not religious, then why do they get married?
If people are not religious, maybe they get
Here's a
married
better
for
question, JR.
the.
Ask them niggas.
How about
why
I'm gonna
Because
answer the question he asked.
Why they keep talking
How about
about
I'm gonna
marriage and they
answer
try
the
to
question
their
he
first defense is they go to religion, but they don't ever live out the religion. They don't ever abide by the religion that they're using to justify why they do it. Why don't you ask them that? Why they so quick to get a divorce?
I said that's a reason, right? I said that's a big reason why people
cut
do.
off his phone.
And I'm saying not even myself. You know, my entire family is very religious, right? But that's one reason. But in also building family and building legacy. You know what I mean? So you can go ahead and have some kids, and then y'all mix. Like, I guess what your wife, I'm sorry, your baby mom's not gonna have the same name as you and your kids, right? Because it's just a piece of paper, right? You don't want to build no real legacy. You want your kids confused about why mommy last name different. You don't want to actually have a woman that you call your own. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? You want to be able to run away when you can, and you don't probably feel like you can hold down a household. So shit, what up?
You got any more insults before I respond?
Yeah, it got too personal. Let me answer
No, hold on,
question.
Hank. Hold on, Hank. Look, hold on, Hank. Hey, hold on. The brother just tried to disparage me, and you want to don't move on from it. Sit right here for a second. Sit right here for a second.
I'm just trying to.
So, do you have any more insults you want to throw my way, real quick, Outlaw, before I respond?
Hank is just trying to water on the fire.
You know what's
I want to know if you got any more insults.
You know what? He's allowed to say that.
Hold on, Kenny. Ask the brother if he has anything else he wants to say.
He's allowed to say that.
I didn't stop him from saying anything. What are you talking about? Let him go. He got the floor. Outlaw. Is there
He's
anything?
allowed to say that.
Okay, I'm done. Don't worry about it. Go
listen,
ahead,
when I stop talking, there's no reason to ask me again. You know what I'm saying? That means I'm giving space to the floor to talk.
All right, so you gonna give me space to respond to you then?
Okay, so I saw where I left off and things went haywire when I mentioned that you weren't married and you were extolling virtues, the word that you tried to act like you did not know when I was saying it, because you're too educated, you're too far gone to try to insult my intelligence that you didn't know the word. You were extolling virtues of the sanctity of marriage, but you didn't embody it. And that's where I was trying to go before we went our ways and being insulting and so on and so forth. And you questioning my sexuality and
me being over 50 and a damaged man, rather than saying it directly to me, you took the soft way out and went indirectly saying it to me. And Trevor's right there when he told you that, yeah, you were trying to imply he was gay, because that was a snapback. But then you made whole lies about admonishing me. I was wrong for taking it where I did take it, because I had a responsibility as for how I responded to how you were trying to jab at me. But I didn't throw the first stone. You were supposed to leave something alone from other show, and you tried to make
I don't
note
want
of
to
it.
tab back into the topic, y'all. I don't want to get
No. I'll get back to it quick. And it all started there. Now we're here, and someone is actually pointing out something to you, because you actually come up here and you admonish, you talk about our talking points being weak. You know, old Lemonhead Darwin, when you said military guys are suckers, and he still wanted to be a parrot on your shoulder. I'm just saying, you're fostering as intelligent, as thought-provoking as you all will. At times, you try to insult people's intelligence in broad daylight. And that's why you're getting a pushback from certain men about how your talking style, though thought-provoking, can be offensive. And when you put certain things up and they wish to address it, to hold you to it, you take insult to it. But you constantly throw insults subliminally at men up on this panel. And that's what they're actually trying to get at you. I want you to be here because you bring different ways of thought. But I think that part you could leave out, where you're doing the underhanded insults and saying that you're not in broad daylight. I think my original point of bringing up, are you married? Because I listened to you, and you put the building blocks of why this thing is necessary. Then you said you were a biblical man, God-fearing, but as your name said, you pick and choose how you wish to live. And then when I asked you, you said, because I don't want to. And I said it wasn't good enough. Because I said you had a lotto ticket, and that's what was overshadowed and everything. You found your forever. And I said you had a lotto ticket where most men can't ever get that. And you got a second chance at it. The same way Darwin did. But look how he behaved. You behaved better, but you still got your damages like I got my damages. Everybody up here got a little thing going on. But you can't be up here throwing underhanded slice to people, because they're going to eventually check you on it. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not trying to disrespect you nor denigrate.
Oh, bro. I don't mind if y'all try to denigrate me at all. Listen,
I am not.
First, I didn't say you were. I said I don't mind if y'all try to. First and foremost, Kenny, I thought this issue that you just brought up was put to bed.
I thought so too, but I seen it somewhere else, and I didn't bring it to him. I guess, it must.
Yeah, we do got to get back on track, man, because we talking about stuff across shows. I mean, I let it go on for a little bit, but if I keep it up, man, that's gonna be the rest of the show. Hank, did you want to respond to this before I get to the next question?
Yeah. So let me ask you this: is
We'll
responding
talk
to
later,
what
JR. Outlaw?
Is that considered staying on topic? Now, if it's not, then I want to answer that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and switch it up.
Okay.
How does sex drive change a man's priorities in relationship as he ages?
You said, how does sex drive?
How does sex drive changes a man's priorities in relationship as he ages?
Oh, well, shit. A man's sex drive can dramatically change because testosterone levels are gone down. And now you're not as quick to try to put yourself out there the much more. You know what I'm saying? You might have a woman in her late 40s whose estrogen levels are on high. She's just ready to go every time. But you can't get it like you used to when you're in your 20s, maybe early 30s. You know what I'm saying? So you say, man, fuck, once, twice a week, I'm good. Like you have to figure it out with that rose or goddamn something. I'll leave it there. My bad.
When that drive change, I feel like when that drive changes, your motivation for honestly trying to make her happy changes. You know what I mean? Like certain things that you would normally do or necessarily put up with, you probably won't anymore because you're not trying to make sure, let's say, she in a good mood for later or whatever the case may be, because you ain't worried about it. Sometimes that interest in her, I think, might change. You know what I mean? Who knows? I'm good though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can understand maybe a sensitive topic. Anybody else want to go ahead and answer how does sex drive changes the man's priority in relationship as he ages?
See, now remember I was told I throw subliminal shots. I don't throw no subliminal shots. All my shots are direct. I call people by name and I speak directly to them. Now I'm gonna throw a subliminal shot. Now that I ain't gonna do it. But anyways, as men get older, JR, we all know the drive starts to diminish to some degree, especially if they on their grind and they got a family and kids. They just don't. They're not. It's not as pressing as it is when they're young. It's not the same. I mean, some guys, like when you're single, whenever you're single, your drive is typically high. You can go because you get so excited by different women. But when you're with the same woman, you know, you guys kind of get in a routine, and that routine is what it is. It doesn't have to be broken. I mean, can it be broken? Yes, but guys get in a routine, women get in a routine, and it's just not always as frequent as it is when you're younger. So with a combination of things may be dropping, the libido may be slowing down, or a routine may be in effect, it's going to change. But when you're single, you ain't got no routine with no women. And most guys are trying to get to it right away. That's the primary reason for connecting with a woman, is to get in the bed. And so you get in the bed, and if that situation don't work out, you on to the next woman. And again, back to the primary reason for getting with her is to get in the bed. And so your sex drive is going to automatically seem like it's higher, and maybe it is higher. But I think a routine plays a factor. Dealing with the same woman plays a factor.
I think my from like 13 to 25, the testosterone was testosterone. I'm talking about like every time I found myself attracted to a woman, I'm going to holler at her. I'm going to try and close the deal. That was kind of why I used that age in a previous conversation as to when a man should ideally start an actual relationship post 25. Your brain is mature and your testosterone levels start to even out some, so you can make better decisions. That 13 to 25 range, you kind of thinking with your small head, you know. And as you get older, sex becomes less the focal point of the relationship and more so a byproduct of it. And you can foster a meaningful connection. I didn't actually experience real intimacy until post 25, because it was all just, but actual starting to actually really appreciate the whole being of the woman and connect spiritually, and then have different forms of sex that wasn't just like childish versions of what the ultimate form of sex can become. So yeah, I agree with the brother who said you can go from needing to have it every day to 2 times a week is cool if that's what you want to do, right? So I think testosterone has a major key to play in that, which is why I always wonder why they haven't done studies on that 13 to 25 to actually explain why men damn near operate like drug addicts and will risk a relationship, the women they love, and all that stuff, if presented the opportunity to get with another woman that you're attracted to within that age range. It's extremely difficult to maintain monogamy if you have those options presented to you, or at least it was for me. That was my struggle when I was younger.
So I think Will brought up a point too, as far as being in routine. So I think that is something that we could discuss as well, because sometimes routine gets boring, like no matter what it is, right? And so like how do you think older men sort through that when they're older, right? Because I've had conversations with men where it may look like things may not be okay in the house, but when they step outside, if they have stepped out of the house, everything is fine. So I do want to kind of explore that whole routine and how can you build that connection
Why don't you ask these dudes that's promoting marriage, like Outlaw? How do they do it, Outlaw? Kenny?
Shit, what do you mean?
No,
How do
not
we
you,
do what?
Hank. Not you, Hank.
No,
Kenny and
how do
Outlaw.
we
I
what?
would like to hear. JR asked the question.
So we was talking about routine. So if you're in a marriage and a relationship, and sometimes when you get older, you get into a routine, it gets stale, it gets played out. So how do older men address that situation?
I'm not sure. I keep it. I don't keep the same routine. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. You know what I mean? My advice would be not to keep the same routine. Keep it spicy, as they say. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
So you and your wife switch up routines?
It didn't say
it wouldn't be a
anything about
routine.
matrimony.
Hold on, Kenny. I'm asking Outlaw. You and your wife switch up routines?
It's not really routine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do what you do. You know what I'm saying? It's not really a routine. Routine is the same thing over. Read the definition of routine.
No, a routine, sir. A routine could be 30 different things, and you do something different every day. But another 30 days, you start over with the same routine. So a routine is not necessarily the same thing, like one thing. It can be a multitude of things, but it's in a rotation. There's only so many things you can do. So I don't know what y'all, where you going? Like, y'all just, I mean, can you share it with the brothers? Can you enlighten us?
Like I said, it's not a routine. Don't patronize me. You know what I'm saying? It's not a routine. You know what I mean? Break the routine. Break the routine, fellas. If you want to make sure you keep it spicy, keep it funky with your wife, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you try and do something different here and there. Don't do a routine. That's for brothers that, you know what I'm saying?
Give us some insight. That's what I'm asking you.
If you be, look, listen, bro, I don't need the cosigns. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't nobody co-signing you. I'm asking you.
If I'm talking, allow me to do so. And then when I'm done, you can interject. I don't need you to keep doing that.
You know, interject means talk while you're talking. That's what interject means. You mean wait for you to be done talking and then respond to what you said.
Like I was saying, you know, fellas, if y'all you want to keep it spicy, try and do different things, because a routine will be boring. You know what I mean? A routine tends to get boring, and that's one thing that women hate, is to be bored. That's all I got.
So JR, the question was, how do you maintain wanting to have sexual intimacy the longer you're in a relationship?
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of older men that it is stale, and based off of what I'm hearing is that the women's sex drives increase.
Yeah.
And so if it's increasing, I'm thinking men have to make it a priority, because they're noticing that their woman is desiring this, or they knowing that they're struggling. And so now it becomes more of a mental game with them in order to try to keep up. Because if they're decreasing and women are increasing, then how are they sorting this situation out? Because I believe that this is a real thing. You know, one of my things I tell people is I think a lot of black men are unhealthy, and so that plays a huge factor into the decrease. And the conversations that we having is around the age of 40, that this is normal, which I don't think is normal for people to decrease at 40. I think because we have an unhealthy lifestyle and we're continuing to be unhealthy into our 40s, that's what is contributing to the decrease. And then because at that point, men are fighting with it being strictly mental, and that mental thing can be a dark place for some folks. I've had conversations with people, and it can also be embarrassing. And so all of these things are coming into play, and some women are just, they don't understand it. But as men, and we come in and have these conversations, this is like a real life thing. So how do you sort that?
So for me specifically, one of the things that I love about my relationship is the ability to have open communication where we could really discuss like sexual desires. So it's nothing that's off the table that we can't discuss. So anything that can be brought in like on the table that either, you know, it's a ability to switch it up. Plus, I'm attracted to my wife. Like when I see her get out the shower, I'll be looking like, damn, that ass looking good. When I see her combing up, brushing her hair down, I am like attracted to her. So it turns me on when I see her. I think that one of the issues could come across is if people's body change, right? And you no longer have that same attraction to them. And then that mixed with the mental of getting older can change the testosterone. I think the best thing would be like try and keep yourself in some type of shape, like you said, JR. And the woman also has to make sure she maintains something that you find appeasing, because it's kind of unfair to be in a relationship with somebody. And I get we age and time and pregnancies and bodies get different. I'm not saying that you got to remain perfect, but to make an attempt to keep yourself in a way where your man is still attracted to you is one of the things. And if all else fails, get a blue pill or a honey pack if you really need the assistance. I mean, or introduce something new to the like. You know what I'm saying? If you need if you gotta watch her play with the what's the thing called? The rabbit or the rose, you gotta watch her play with the rose, and you just can eat that thing. Hey, you gotta figure something out. If your Jones don't work no more, you don't be in your ego where you can't make sure you still handling your business because you don't know how to lay pipe no more. Your Jones don't work no more. If I had an issue, I don't. But if I did, I'd be honey pack shorty every morning with my tea. I'd be putting that shit in there, swirling up, waiting like shit. You ready? I ain't gonna sit here and flodge like like if I had an issue, I wouldn't try and fix it. Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that sex and intimacy is a huge part of the relationship. Not the most important, but it is a factor within that. Like the older you get, and especially if you got kids, it gets harder to do, you know what I'm saying? So we like in the phase where all the kids sleep, it's tic-tac-toe. We get three X's, three kids with their eyes closed, hit the other room. So it's spontaneous based on when these kids gonna fall asleep or how long they gonna stay asleep. But yeah.
So would you guys say that introducing toys into the bedroom is a bad idea? Like as far as the rose? Because if the rose is getting the job done, then the rose could essentially like replace you, right?
No,
It's
a bad idea.
I think it's
never replace the real thing, man. You can get every toy in a goddamn book, but ain't nothing gonna replace Hink. Ain't shit in the world gonna replace. Look, I'm working from the asshole all the way up to the clit. Shit. Look, I don't know what we're talking about. Traditional. With a comment. I don't believe in that shit.
Hey Hink, though, they get that thing, man. You can't gyrate and vibrate like some of them things that they be using.
Hold on, Sid. I know you a little older than me, but I got the flow right now. I'm taking my wife to the Adam and Eve store, and we're gonna pick out and look at some things. We're gonna try. We might fucking shit. We might go in the back room and get it going. And what ain't no rules. Man, I said it before. Shit, you violate your woman. She's to be violated. She gonna come on, man. Let's have some fun. On the way home, you could beat me off, get me ready before I walk through the crack of the door. I got a truck. I could put an air mattress in the back of that thing. We could make love under the stars. That shit don't matter to me. Shit, ain't no shit. Let's get it on. Shit, my man talking about pulling hair. Oh, it's all fair and love and war. Now I ain't gonna slam into no goddamn wall or nothing like that. But it's all good.
Mrs.
Look,
Big.
I got an island. I got a love seat. I got a vibrating couch downstairs. It's all fair. You want to watch a movie? I got an 86-inch television. You can watch a freak movie on for need to. Whatever it takes.
You ain't got the floss on us because you got a 100-foot screen. Come on, Hank.
Yeah, projector. Pull the projector screen down. Let's go. Shit, I don't know what y'all talking about.
All right, so Hank, I remember one day I forget what we was doing, but I'm not trying to have no 4-hour marathons and shit. But this particular day, it was like the sex was not just sex. It like from hard to soft, still going, like just going. And my next door neighbor, she asked me in the chat. I came over there, I say, Nat, you won't believe this shit. I don't know. I think we done unlocked a new level of sex because this shit is that shit was Yeah, shout out to you. No, you be holding it down. I ain't gonna hold you. I know you watching right now. You be holding it down, baby.
Hank, did you say you don't know what Will talking about?
Yeah, you talking about it. It gets old and boring. I don't believe in that shit. I don't have no problem switching some shit up.
Again, this Hank, this is what I'm talking about when I say you guys will take your personal situation and extrapolate it across men. You and your wife might have this blissful time in this oasis that y'all created in the space of love, this ecstasy that y'all have. I hope y'all don't think that's the case for the average man.
Bro, Will, who said
You
that's
ask,
the case, though, bro?
you
Hey,
ask
you talking to me?
specifically how. You
Yeah,
ask
like
specifically how we do it.
What?
You tried to come for me asking specifically how do we do it.
And you didn't
And you
answer,
had,
nigga.
I did answer, clown. What are you talking about? I clearly said what I do.
That nigga
Gentlemen,
said,
let's
"Don't
not
get in
do
the."
the insults. Now I'm
And me
I
and my
didn't
wife been
insult
together.
nobody. Oh, now
Hey,
we call each other niggas insult. I'm sorry. God damn. I've been
hey,
called a
we
lot.
ain't cool
I've
like
been called a
that.
lot worse. I'm sorry.
I can
Hey,
see
Outlaw,
why.
I didn't mean to insult you with the N-word, brother.
Again,
I heard
like I said, man, I
don't
know
get in the routine. That's what I heard. So I mean,
you wasn't listening.
what
You
you
wasn't
have,
listening. There,
sir,
you can play it
kudos to
back.
you and your wife. What y'all have sounds like what most men dream about. That's not how most men live their lives. Now, if all the brothers on here might say, "Oh, that's how it is in my household," cool. Y'all will also be the exceptions to the rule. That's not how most men, especially married men, live their lives.
I mean, but why do you care about what other niggas is doing?
I'm about to blaze all you niggas on this panel.
You ain't finna blaze shit this way, my nigga.
There go the ego. Let the nuts hang. There you go.
What the fuck is you talking about? You talking about why average men across America? Who cares? If they're inadequate, they're inadequate.
Oh, so we got up here to talk about us and brag. That's what we got. That's what we did.
No, you asking us specifically. You can only speak from your shoes and your experience, break.
Hold on, JR. I could be wrong, but I thought we were talking about men, not just us.
You can't talk about just men across the board. It's not a generalized picture anymore. We don't eat the same foods. We don't walk the same paths. We don't have the same experiences in life.
All right, so I have something to say real quick. So, Will, what if we are all talking about our experiences, right? And I'm, just someone watching, listening, and I listen to what Hink just said, and I'm like, damn, maybe I need to put that into my life a little bit. Maybe I could bring that into the bedroom. We are all learning from each other's experiences and our perspectives, which is what we've been talking about on King Talk for weeks. Like, I don't know what other perspective we're supposed to share besides our own.
It's not about sharing your perspective. You could talk about your story. I'm saying when we extrapolate that across men, like he said, I don't know about y'all, but I'm okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's sharing from his perspective, his point of view, and his situation. So he made that clear before he even gave his spiel, right?
And Hink is the only person that actually said what he is doing. Marcus mentioned something kind of intimate about something that's transpired one time between him and his wife, but Hink is talking about how his life is and what he's actually doing. Have you heard anything else?
What I learned from Marcus is like, okay, maybe I need to probably be with someone I'm attracted to. That's what I learned from Marcus.
That's what you learned?
You learn something else from Hink. You can learn something from everybody on this panel.
Hold on. Did you
I don't understand like what you expect.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. Let me ask you a question. If you don't know what I expect, let me ask you a question.
Their perspective, bro.
Let me ask you a question.
You say this every single week.
So let me ask you a question.
Bro, we all know by now every man is not built the same.
Okay,
bro.
so let me ask you a question. You're telling me tonight you just learned from Marcus that you need to be attracted to your woman.
That's what somebody can learn.
Oh, I thought you said that's what you learned.
Perspective and taking heed to it. Yes.
So I listen to everybody. Outlaw even said it. being spontaneous is what I'm hearing when I hear the different things from all the brothers here. Not keeping the same routine and being spontaneous.
Yeah, but
Disagree with that, Will?
I think
No,
no, we can agree.
I'm the one that said men get caught in the routine. JR, can you put the question back on the board
hold
that
on.
led to
We
that,
know the
that
question,
dialogue?
but you tried to single out me and Law.
No, I didn't try to single you guys
Yes,
out.
you did.
Okay, listen, sir.
That's
sir,
where it went left.
Sir. No, that's not where it went left. Your recollection is terrible.
Okay.
So me and Outlaw was having a little spat, and then you injected yourself into it. I don't know why.
And now you had to
Brought
get
up
your
old
lick
stuff.
back.
I don't
So
know
the next
why.
topic,
But
you had to single out him and me.
JR,
But here's one thing you don't know
put
about
the
this
old
show.
question back on
And
the
I'm gonna
board
give you.
so
I'm gonna give you. I'm going.
Oh, yeah,
Hold
one
on.
mic, y'all. They can't hear us.
Will,
One mic.
Will,
Can you
I'm
put
not gonna do
the
this.
former?
There's one
Can you put
thing
the question back on the board?
Okay, hold on. Will, there's one thing for certain. I done told everything about me on the show. I done told where I felt, how I am, my therapy, everything. So wait. You're not gonna stop my build and be disrespectful. So ain't nothing I got to hide up here while you come up here being pompous at times and think people lack intelligence and your ways of sniping. And then when it's addressed, you're saying these people are not doing it. I mean, you're not doing it. When people address you and hold you accountable for it, you spin it.
Oh,
everybody doesn't know. Listen, sometimes I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puff, sometimes I'm not. I'm working through it.
Oh,
but
so
don't come up
did I
here with
spin
no
something
facade.
that?
Do
Did
not
I
come up
spin
here with
something
no
that Outlaw
facade
said?
and belittle the thing
Hold on,
that
sir.
they're getting you on. You come up here and you try to belittle people's points and their POVs and try to trump them with yours. That's the main crux of
Okay, so I heard you.
Don't want to say.
So let me ask you a question. Did I spin something that Outlaw said?
Dude, when you said you were having your little spat with Outlaw, and then you said I interjected myself, JR pointed out he tried to move the conversation further. He talked about the marriage aspect, or maybe he broached on it lightly. You used Outlaw and myself as the first things that you wish to put on the chopping block to try to see if we could whittle our way out of whatever you were planning. And Outlaw said I wasn't having none of that. Me, it never even got to me. Then Sherm pretty much gave the whole attestment as for like, dude, stop. Because you do this every week, and this is something I noticed from somebody who Sherm, when he speak, he has a point to make, or otherwise he's not just there with the banter. And he just told you exactly what he saw, and you're not willing to even consume it. And listen, Will, I'm not trying to play you. I promise. Because I think you're very intelligent, and I like when you talk. Thought-provoking, but you do this thing, though.
But bro, let me respond though.
My bad.
You just talking.
My bad.
First of all, did I try to spin anything that Outlaw said?
Yes.
What did I do?
He's right there. Speak though.
No, you're the one made this claim.
He's right there.
You niggas is terrible.
First off, you tried to just clearly say I didn't say shit, basically. You know what I'm
saying?
You
did.
Not really spent. All right.
You told me. Right. Hold on, listen, gentlemen.
I said I don't
let me get a crack at it. Let me, y'all both talk. Let me get a crack at it. Sir, you came up here saying that I say the same stuff every week. I keep saying these certain things every week. I asked you, what did I say? You have yet to tell me what I said.
I told you I'm not going to go
y'all
back
not even going to let me speak.
Word.
I told you don't have to quote me, sir.
You just asked him a question.
Oh my God.
You asked the same thing. You saying the same thing, bro. Nobody needs to go back and quote exactly what you said. You can watch.
I just told you don't have to quote.
There's plenty of videos on it. All I'm saying is keep it, dog. Keep it.
Okay. And then Kenny, sir, do you don't realize when you shot in there like a torpedo, you said, I want some of this. You jumped in, you start running your mouth. Talking about
yo, I'm gonna keep it real quick. Let me just say something real quick, man. I'm new here. I don't know anybody, but it's real simple. If this was a boardroom, you'd be fired. You understand?
I would be
There's
fine.
multiple people here who agree and who vote that you are a problem. The way you communicate is a problem.
Okay.
You know, the way you are sly with your undertones of, you know, trying to aim at people's character and whatnot. It's real simple. You know,
Now I'm
I'm a
aiming at character.
businessman thing. I think in the business perspective, and that's what would happen. You know, you'd have to clean out your desk and be escorted out the building. You dig what I'm saying? So it's real simple to me. I don't know about the continuing on. I thought we were on a specific type of subject, and maybe we could have went on with that. If there was more questions, we can keep this thing interesting. But now it's becoming into like some talk show, some Jerry Springer type of thing, and y'all battling, and there ain't gonna be no battling because nobody got on gloves. We're all on screens. So, you know, if we could continue like some men and stay to the subject, I'd really appreciate it. You know, besides that, bro, you got to look in the window look in the mirror because there's multiple people who got a problem with you.
And that's
that simple. It's a numbers game. There's multiple.
Sir, that's fair. And I accept that. But see, what you fail to realize, I'm gonna make this one point and I'm gonna pass it to my man Clout. If this was a boardroom, I wouldn't be getting fired. I would be the majority leader in this boardroom, sir.
Yeah, and that's stated out of your arrogance. And that's stated out of your arrogance.
God, slow down. You talk. You talk. Be quiet now. Let me talk. So what I'm saying to you is this. I'm not trying to.
No, you've been talking the majority. You got more minutes on the.
Cloud, what you got?
Y'all done? All right, man.
Wait, Cloud.
I've been watching this for a while. I've been watching,
Cloud,
you know, I mean, I've been in the
greet
chat.
the room, and after you greet the room, apologize for saying what you said. I heard what you said.
Oh no, I can't apologize. Hold on. I'm gonna explain what I said. I'm gonna get into what I said since you want to address that first, and then I'll get into my perspective on the conversation. But yeah, I said it. I said, yeah, when did this become queen talk? I hear a bunch of men talking about, oh, we don't like the way you talk and the way you communicate, and it's a problem. It sounds like a board meeting with a bunch of Karens. Respectfully, that's how I feel. Y'all don't like it, that's your problem. Moving on. Now, another issue I have with this is I hear a lot of men, a lot of grown men. This is something I personally just don't respect, right? I hear a lot of men, and this is something I stand by, right? A man cannot be offended by something he can't quote verbatim. If you cannot quote it back verbatim, if you cannot quote the thing that was said back verbatim, you have no right to be offended because you don't even know. You have not even fully internalized or learned the thing that you're upset about. So unless you can quote it back verbatim without being prompted, without going back to check, you have no right to be offended at all. You don't have a right to have feelings.
So you mean to tell me?
Don't know what you're talking about.
So you mean to tell me since you just sat here and said something about us being on clean talk?
I just got here. Y'all already interrupted me.
That you said,
I just got here. Y'all already interrupted me. What's going on?
You just said something about queen talk.
Man,
we got two
mics. Man, hold yourself with some composure, man.
Hold up, y'all. We can't hear shit. We can't hear shit.
Men, hold yourselves with some composure. I just got here. Y'all been talking. Let me talk my piece, and then y'all can respond and say whatever you want to say because y'all been talking the whole night. I've been watching in the comments, right? So,
but you
so
came in with disrespect, though. And then
I didn't come in with disrespect. I came in. Yo, hold on, stop, relax.
What's queen talk? What's queen talk?
You can take it as disrespect if you want, but you'll have your opportunity to express yourself. You'll have your opportunity to express yourself about what I said. I wasn't even going to talk about that. You prompted me to respond specifically.
And why did you say it real light and disrespectful? You said it twice. You said about woman, then you said about queen. You know these brothers up here. Why would you be disrespectful rather than coming in?
Okay, so since I need to clarify, hold on, stop. All right, I'll address it. Since we're going to get offended, obviously I don't mean that these men are women. What I'm saying is that the method in which this What I'm saying is that the method in which this conversation is flowing is in a way that's unbecoming of men. I see men policing other men on their tone and on their feelings about how the man is talking and saying that that's a problem. And that's just something that I tend to see in female circles more than male circles. That's all I was saying. Now, can I continue? Can I continue? Now, to get to what I originally came to address, right? Again, I've been watching the entire thing. And honestly, I've watched Will ask multiple questions, right? And I've watched as y'all either don't answer it directly or disingenuously answer it, right? And this is why this is important, right? Because King Talk is a conversation that's an open conversation for the public. When you're having these conversations in King Talk, we're not talking about how dope we are at bagging the women, right? You're giving advice and you're speaking from the perspective that the men who may not have the skills you have can learn so that they can understand where you're coming from. So when he's asking the questions that he's asking about actionable steps as someone who's not in your position can duplicate or replicate in their own situation. And again, which is something that I critique y'all on all the time, is we get these typical YouTube ego-based answers that are like, well, I'm the man, so I don't know nothing about that. Well, I'm that guy, so I wouldn't know what that's like. Oh, I don't know about y'all other niggas that can't handle your women, but I'm that guy and I picked perfectly. And I guess you just got to pick perfectly because you got to be as smart and fly as I am. Those aren't actionable steps to help anybody. So when he asked the question and y'all gave those answers, they didn't answer the question.
When you're saying y'all, can you clarify? Can you clarify? Man, you go on a 5-minute run.
I
can you
also
clarify who you talking about? You said 10 different points. I want to address that point.
I can't even hear you over myself. I can't even
Who
address
is
what you're
y'all?
saying because I wasn't done.
Because anything more is a
No, hold on. What's going on now?
Man,
What's
let's
going
do
on
one
right
mic,
now?
y'all. One mic, man. One
What's
mic.
going on right now is an exact example of what I'm talking about coming into the chat. Like I said,
why? Because he wants to respond to you. That's
like
womanish.
I said, Kenny, you're interrupting me again. Like I said,
So you can go on another 15-minute monologue.
Again, I just got here and y'all been talking. All of y'all been talking. So I have a lot to catch up on.
You want to go on another 15-minute monologue or give him time to answer
For some reason, y'all can't control your emotions. Y'all are already triggered. And
I'm emotional because you won't give
All right,
the
y'all,
man
let's take a couple more minutes.
Why
KP, let's give Cloud just a couple more minutes. And
why I came in
you guys
making
can
a
respond.
statement that I made that offended you about Queen Talk, right? Because there's a bunch of men here I see constantly being triggered in their emotions, answering questions emotionally, being asked specific, clear questions and making it about their ego and their feelings. And that's just from my perspective as somebody who was watching. Now, maybe I don't like how I feel about it. That's on you. But that's how I call it. That's what I see. Again, that's just what I see.
Right, so now,
I see someone asking a lot of very logical questions and a lot of guys getting emotional because their identity is
said
wrapped
that
up
3
in the idea of
times.
marriage.
Can we ask you who you're talking about?
Having the idea
and what
and having the idea of marriage question is a threat to their identity, and so they're getting emotional. And I'll land there.
Finally, so when you say these guys, once you start quoting that verbatim, since you think that somebody can't have an opinion on something if they can't quote it back verbatim.
Why don't
exactly?
I quote? I didn't make any quotes. I didn't make any quotes.
No. I said quote it back verbatim.
What would you like me to quote back verbatim? Because
who are you referring to when you saying you
said
hear
a
all
lot.
these men up here?
What would you like me to
this?
quote verbatim? I said a lot. Specifically,
again, listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. When you say y'all are talking like queens, who specifically are you talking about, and what did they say?
All right, since y'all want to be specific, I don't want to make it personal, but if you want to be specific, particularly you right now, particularly you while I was talking, the entire time I was talking, you were getting emotional, interrupting me, cutting me off. And why did you get emotional? Because you felt like something I said applied to you. But rather than take the time to take in everything that I said, process it, and then come up with a response, you got emotional and felt the need to stop me from talking. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Since you want to make it personal, you're an exact example.
So look, you're going on a rant. First off, you came in here and said something disrespectful that Kenny pointed out. Then you immediately said something
that
about
way, that's on you.
Listen, I'm not done. So listen, then you immediately came in here talking about somebody that can't quote it back verbatim. So you're addressing me.
I said
so
you can't quote it back. I didn't say somebody that can't quote it back verbatim.
Before you go on
quote me verbatim.
Listen,
quote me verbatim.
Before you go on a 30-minute,
quote me verbatim.
Rant, I want you to
quote
address
me verbatim
that shit before you keep going. I'm not
quote
going
me
to quote
verbatim.
I know y'all doing the same thing to each other, right?
If he's gonna try to quote me and make a quote on me saying things verbatim, the best he could do is quote me verbatim.
Somebody got to lead by example.
Well, the example I'm setting is quote me verbatim, because I didn't just say something about verbatim. I specifically said a grown man should not get offended by something that he cannot quote verbatim. So now, what are your opinions on that statement?
So now we're
again. I've watched over 2 hours of this gentleman on multiple King Talks annoying the hell out of me. Plain and simple. I don't have to know verbatim what he said. Plain and simple. Call it what you want. You can call it emotional, or you can just, hey, I'm actually watching. I'm paying attention. You know what? I'm annoyed. Right? Because I wasn't on the channel to even address it. So when I wasn't able to address it, that annoyed me. That's not feelings. I wish I was on that panel that day so I could have addressed it the same way I addressed it tonight. You understand what I'm saying?
So the feelings
just because I didn't know it verbatim, just because I didn't know it verbatim doesn't mean that it's not valid. Plain and simple.
So you had feelings
so all that.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? Not pertaining to.
That didn't pertain to the topic.
Could get somebody like Trev, Said, JR, or Marcus, or maybe Hink to explain to me what they heard Chicago tell me. So, because I missed it. And if you brothers heard it, could one of y'all articulate the point he was trying to make outside of him being annoyed? I know he was annoyed.
He was saying that you're not seeing
Kenny. Not Kenny. I didn't say Kenny or Sherm.
Wait. You didn't exclude me. You just tried to
Fred, Said, JR, Marcus, or maybe Hink.
Wait. My force is too powerful for you. You don't want me to say nothing? Eh?
This is, you niggas is some women.
There you go. See, it's funny when people do that kind of stuff, right? Because my thing, I'm very big on this. I'm big on respect. I respect men as they come. But see, now, if we were in the same room and you said that, it'd be very different. So we have to be careful with the way that.
Okay, I do want to ask this. Okay, I do.
Are you saying that in the
I
room?
do want to ask this question. Okay, I do want to ask this question.
In the room, you would be emotional as well, and that would be the example you set.
Hey,
hold on, y'all. Hold on.
You're gonna respect me is what you're gonna do.
Stop.
Hold on, you guys.
Come on, man.
So I'm assuming the goal that we need to set, and this may not be for everybody, but if you had to set a goal as far as how we should be communicating, like what does that look like? Because I did point out the example. To me, outside looking in, it seems like when people hear something that they don't like, don't agree with, or if they think that they're misquoted, or maybe they are misquoted, then that's when they interrupt. And it seems like it happened on both sides, and I see it happen on panels all the time, which in my opinion, I always say just wait. I understand some people long-winded, and I think the people that are long-winded don't realize that they're long-winded, and so people don't have the patience enough to be able to wait. So like, what's the standard then when it comes to communicating? Or like, how should we communicate as men? Like, is it a problem how we communicate? Because if this is the example that we're showing when people watch it, then it's probably a terrible example.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you two examples how I communicated last time with all the thunder and brimstone toward today when I tried to give the edification as for what exactly you were doing and how people were feeling, without also prefacing that I'm not trying to disrespect you. I want to show you a couple of things that you do that we catch that would make certain individuals up here feel a certain type of way. That was glossed over when I tried that way.
No, answer his
question. So let's keep it here.
To me.
Okay, let's talk about feelings first, because that's something that I'm hearing about. Like, how do we feel about when it comes to feelings? As men, are we allowed to feel a certain type of way? Do you think that when we feel that it comes out as an extreme emotion, like, what is this whole feelings thing? We got to hash this out, because we keep talking about it, keep bringing it up. Like, what's the issue with the whole feelings thing?
Feelings have no place in an intellectual conversation. If we're talking about facts, points, debate, we're debating something that's about points of views. There's no reason for anybody to have any personal emotions or feelings about the situation at all. And especially if we're not in a room and nobody's as men, right? Men talk aggressively. Men raise their voice. Men curse. Men do all of that. You should be able to hear words and not get to the point where it frazzles your nerves to the point where you want to get violent or aggressive, or you can't control your tongue because somebody says some words. That's how men talk. Like, so I think it's about controlling emotions. That's usually been the standard of men, is controlling their emotions. If we want to be able to have a productive conversation, you can't be in your feelings because somebody said something you don't like or that you don't agree with.
So you would come
so
in
how
a
do we
room.
hold on, Kenny. So then how do we feel about threats then? Or about when somebody goes personal? Because then when somebody goes personal, then does that change?
Absolutely. So I agree with what Cloud said, but however, there's 10 of us on here and we have 10 different personalities. We have to always, I think, be mindful of someone else, that I may say something that can come off wrong towards someone. And even if I don't take it as offensive and I'm like, whatever, we don't all operate under the same guidelines, or someone may be more willing to take it to a different level. We see this all the time. Like you're saying, Cloud, someone may want to take it to fisticuffs, where I'm really good at joking back. We can talk that shit back and forth with someone else. They just might not be with it. So I think that as men, we always have to be mindful of other people, because what's the saying, that you're free to say whatever you want, but they might not be free of the consequences of your words.
Sure.
Facts. And that's
So
exactly
what I think. Here's what I think. I think when people talk, people listen and formulate thoughts and opinions, and then you should ask questions sometimes before you even share your thought or your opinion about what you just heard. Sometimes you need to confirm that what you heard, you internalize it the right way, you process it the right way. Because I'm usually confused when dudes on this panel talk. That's why I make the statement, we sound like women. We're talking like women. And then I'll get specific with a brother when he continues to do it. And I'll say, you talking like a woman. Now, he may get offended by that, and I understand it. I understand sometimes we got to offend brothers with the truth. And people get so mad. If somebody tells me that I'm talking like a woman, I don't just get all huffy and puffy and start filling my chest with air. I'll be like, oh, okay. So I'll ask the question, what made you derive to that conclusion? So I can understand what this brother is talking about. And he may have a point. Now, if he don't got a point, he gonna look stupid because he won't be able to articulate his point. See, notice I don't get mad at people for insulting me. I'm not gonna get up here and start making threats and tell people what I'm gonna do to them. I'm gonna simply ask them some questions. And those questions are never answered.
I mean,
just
but
like
Will, you also,
women
but hold on, I would like to say something real quick. Will, you also got to take heed of, like, you know, like what said, you have 10 different personalities. Like a lot of things that you said, if we were in person and you were in my city or whatever, we'll probably have to take it to the back and get out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to tell me that I sound like a woman. You're not going to tell me I'm on Queen Talk. You're not going to say a lot of these things. But luckily, we're on a panel on the internet, and I would just let it slide.
No, see,
hold on, y'all. Hold on. Insulted a lot of people on this panel by what you said. Man, what are we talking? It's like, bro, let these men get off whatever they want to say. If you don't agree with it, bro, that's okay. But you don't have to insult them.
Bro, I'm not insulting. Listen, I'm not insulting.
Saying a man talks like a woman, bro, is insulting. You could probably get beat up or killed.
This is a problem. This is a problem.
No, it's not, bro. It's about
You don't even know what I'm about to say. When we always rush to, you wouldn't say that if I was in your face. People say, quote unquote, insulting things in people's faces all the time.
No, they do not, bro. Okay. No, they don't. They don't say that a man sounds like a woman. They don't say any of that. Unless they are really
let me talk here.
Consequences.
Saying a man sounds like a woman.
Listen. Hold on, y'all.
Look, don't try.
Hold on. I do have another question. So, do you guys think that it's a problem for us to be on the internet and we're just exchanging words, right? Like, do you guys think it's a problem for us to go from 0 to 100, like over the internet? Like, do you guys really think it's that serious, or do you guys think that?
Well, I'm gonna be
that with the same energy.
I talked to go ahead. I talked to Outlaw about it, and I was just like, man, it really doesn't make sense. Even for, like, say a couple of weeks ago when I got out of control with Humble Dad, I was like, bro, this is some dude I'm talking to that I don't know on the internet. I don't know who he is. I don't know where he lives. I have no clue who this person is at all. So it's foolish of me to even react in that kind of manner while I'm in my house yelling at a damn screen. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when people say shit, man, I'm gonna let it fly. But I will say that it will be a whole different conversation and dynamic if it was in person. It's like, hey, you're not going to say this to me. I mean, there's other ways you can communicate without insulting someone. You can't let them talk. If you don't agree, bro, just let it slide and move on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with all of the things people say, but I will ask them a question to, have them expand their perspective so I could possibly get it. But if I don't, I'm gonna just, hey, all right, cool, move on.
Okay, I do have
One
a
thing
serious
that I
question.
noticed,
Then, why is it that people say if we were in person? Like, what's the point of actually saying that? Because if I don't know about y'all,
they would intimidate you.
I got things.
Let me explain it.
Okay, go ahead.
No, Will, you was finna say add on to it before I explain it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, mostly everybody on the panel got children, so I would say that you have something to lose, right? If you put yourself in a situation where you're not able to be there for them off of a conversation on the internet, I personally think it's a little bit extreme.
Right. And see, that's not what I mean. So one thing that I've always was taught, even from my father, when you were raised around men, you understand how to operate around men, right? Because you understand that you can't just fly off at the mouth because it can go somewhere that you're not potentially ready for. So when you start to disrespect people, there are consequences that come with that, right? And so you have to be mindful of the way you carry yourself. You have to be respectful of others. You know what I'm saying? Because if not, you cannot always, as said, you're free to say whatever you want, but you can't determine how they're going to respond.
What?
So some people aren't okay.
If it happens in person, I can
disrespect.
understand it. If it happens in person, I can understand it, but it's not in person, it's on the internet. So I mean,
Right,
to
and
me,
that's what I'm. People are taking liberties.
Like if I'm gonna do something, I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna do it. Like it's only so much you can really do on the internet, right? So I understand this is all internet stuff. Some people may just be tripping. Some people may be about their life in person. You don't know it's not happening in person. So it's not. I can't see myself ever raising my voice to the level that I've seen people raise and then going back and forth.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
But you
also
know,
criminal. You know what I'm saying?
And then if I'm gonna do something, nobody's gonna know.
You a different type of man, you know.
And look, I'm not even talking about who is that? I'm not even talking about like killing nobody or none of that. I'm saying real talk. Face-to-face men don't act like that with each other. The only time that I've had somebody even talk to me sideways is on the internet because they know they'll take those liberties because it's not real to them. They wouldn't do that. That's when we say you wouldn't do that in person.
But it takes too much energy
there's a different level of respect.
Try to prove that. It's like you're still doing the same thing. Like you're going back trying to prove it to them via screen. It still doesn't make any sense to me. It's too much energy.
Hey, let me ask this question.
If you were in front of me, I would use my physical presence to try to intimidate you into not saying what I don't like. But I don't want to. So
internet. So that's Cloud, you're about 120 pounds. You wouldn't do that to nobody.
Bro, what are you talking about? I've been 185 since I was 16 years old.
185 with them Timberlands on.
Hey,
JR,
185, bro. I don't even know what you're talking about, brother. Like,
what? You like? I saw you up on the
I don't know what you're talking about. Literally.
I think what infuriates people is the fact that knowing that someone probably wouldn't have the same type of energy that they would have on the internet, right? So it's like you're constantly poking, knowing, well, I'm operating in a safe space to where I can say anything to anybody and feel this type of authority or whatever. I'm not saying Will, JR, Will and I talk every day. That's like my little brother. And I think that Will would stand on his square and say what he would say. But I understand the frustration of some people that, because I hear a lot of guys doing a lot of the tough talking, and I'm like, I don't know if they would operate the same outside of social media. So JR, for me, because you guys know, I train, for those of you guys know, I train with people who actually fight, professional. So then I'm just kind of like, this doesn't really happen in real life like this.
So shout out to DJ Hamp, because DJ Hamp did bring some of the internet folks together, and they boxed. They was in the ring. Like I'm okay if you guys, if it means that much to you to get to this person, then just go step in the ring. We don't have to.
Let me ask you a question, JR.
I don't know what world y'all live in, but
so
niggas act like bitches in my life, we say that to them, and it's fine. Like when niggas act like women in my world, we tell them, and fights don't pop off. Niggas just talk about it. And
let's be the
where
first
you from?
man. You and me.
You from where you from? New York?
He right in my neck of the woods. Let's start. Let's set it off. You and me. Yeah.
And that's something we talk about all the time. It's just certain things that just I'm not used to. I'm gonna keep it real. We don't call men bitches here. We talk about this all the time. We're not gonna call no man.
No, if they're being bitches, we do.
Take it there.
No, if somebody's being a bitch, we're gonna say it.
So I think that's a regional. I think what we intersect and region out, because so like for Chicago, for instance, in Chicago, if you are called a bitch, it's an instant start to a fight, and if you don't respond in kind,
you are a bitch.
Proves it, and then people continue to try you. So I think what so I struggle with this on the internet too. When you come in contact with people, like, so I try and give respect to I go out my way to give respect to other people and try and package things in a way where my message can be received by everyone that I'm trying to get it to. But the issue comes in when the line that you have for yourself is drawn and you feel as though someone's encroaching on that line. And once somebody passed that line, it's like you can't really determine how somebody responds to the disrespect. So that's what it comes down to. But it's also
all in our behavior isn't always disrespect though. Like if somebody's acting unbecoming of a man and I say, yo, bro, you're bitching right now. Like stop. Like you're behaving like a woman right now. That's not disrespectful. That's calling him out. And we always talk about men holding men accountable. But now all of a sudden niggas is acting all sensitive to a little bit of being told a bad word. Like I don't understand what's going on. Like, isn't that what men are supposed to do? Hold other men accountable. Hold on, stop interrupting me. Aren't men supposed to hold other men accountable? And won't that sometimes be a little offensive?
That's what we were
like that's hold on, yo.
I can't hear him. Kenny, let him finish.
You can't even hear me. That's what I'm saying. In the real world, the way that grown men check other grown men is by calling them out on their bullshit. I've been called out on my bullshit in life. I've called other niggas out on their bullshit. So I don't know why everybody's acting so sensitive to being told that their behavior is unbecoming of a man. You've heard that before in your life. Stop acting like y'all all some top tier murderers and anybody even look at you wrong, you smoking them on sight. It's not the world that y'all living in, or else y'all wouldn't be on the internet right now having conversation. Y'all would be smoking niggas right now. Y'all would be sliding right now.
I agree.
If we're men in here, we gonna talk like men, right? If you come and address me by calling me a queen or a woman, how are we gonna have continue to have a logical conversation?
You lost it.
The first thing you is a way of
all right. Did I really offend y'all by saying that? Hold on. When I said yo, is this queen talk? Did I really hurt y'all feelings when I said that?
Nobody, dog. I don't interrupt nobody. I don't talk over nobody.
My bad. I just thought I hurt y'all feelings. I wanted to right my wrongs.
Let me finish, brother.
You got it.
So when we say stuff like that, how can we expect to continue a logical conversation? It's not going to. More than likely, it's going to go left.
You're right.
And Will said he handles the way he handled. Okay, like you said, cool. But that's not.
You're right, Hank.
Personality. I handle it that way. They may take it left. They may take it to that point. I don't think it's the way, how we're gonna have a respectful conversation. If we're gonna have respect, let's have respect as men. Not only that, when you sit there and call it that, you disrespecting JR and his channel and his show. Yeah, I don't believe in that.
Fair.
But go ahead.
Fair. All right, so my bad, gentlemen. Just for the record, did I offend anybody in particular when I made my queen talk comment? Did I hurt anyone's feelings or offend anybody?
Yeah, you offended me. Now I got to steal your Timbs.
All right, Kenny. All right, so Kenny, since I offended you, I apologize, Kenny. I'm man enough to say, you know what? I didn't mean to offend you. It was a slight comment, but you know what? Let's address the feelings. Let's get it all together. Let's kumbaya. Let's brotherhood, right? I apologize, Kenny, for offending you. That wasn't right.
You need to apologize to everybody in here because
it was meant to be a light comment to smack y'all into reality a little bit, to bring y'all some awareness of how unbecoming the conversation was. But I'm coming to the realization that it really offended some of y'all, and it really hurt some of y'all's feelings. And that was not my intention to hurt anybody's feelings or to make anybody feel bad or feel like they're less of a man. So I apologize if I made anybody feel that way. All right.
So Cloud, in your mind, when you say things like that, you're telling me you don't have any foresight that may offend somebody.
Not in any serious way. I think it would get your attention. The point of it was to get y'all attention. To think that y'all would seriously be offended by me saying, yo, is this queen talk? Like y'all over here bickering and shit. Like, no, I didn't think y'all would really seriously be offended by that. I've heard people say words to each other on the panel.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna tell you how
I've heard dudes straight call each other straight bitches on this panel and continue the conversation like it's normal. So as long as I've been on this panel, no, I did not think that comment would offend anybody. I truly didn't.
All right, cool. And I'm gonna tell you how I survived in Los Angeles, California, going to school in South Central, growing up next to Compton and all that, right? So the reason why I'm alive till this day is because I respect everybody. I don't insult anyone, and I have enough emotional intelligence and foresight to know if I do this, then this will happen. You know what I'm saying? So when you say, "Oh, y'all all must be gangsters and all that," nah, bro, we just know how to move. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say something to somebody and and being like, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna take it offensive." That doesn't mean the next person will not. You know what I mean? If I get on the panel and say, okay, I'm on King Talk, but y'all acting like queens, I know for sure that could offend one person out of fucking 10. So why would you say that, bro?
I hear you. And I don't go out of my way to offend people, but respectfully, I also don't go out of my way to hold my tongue. Like I also don't go out of my way to not say what I really mean. So if what I really mean and how I see something might offend somebody, I take that risk. That's part of letting my nuts hang as a man. Yeah, it might offend you. You might want to fight. Fuck it. We gonna fade then. It is what it is.
All right, so why is it a problem when somebody responds?
And I'm just saying, listen,
I do want to get Will in there. Will's been trying
I've survived 37 years. I've survived 37 years. Maybe one day somebody will take my lights out for it. Maybe not. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to stand over.
I think some of it's regional too. Like Cloud said, I'm down in SoCal. I'm not too far from LA and stuff, and just people. I think just where you are, people are going to react differently. The same thing. I'm like you, Cloud. I can go back and forth. I'm not going to want to fight you over some words, but I do have an understanding that I may say something to someone else, and they may want to take me up on something, and I might not be ready for it. So.
All right, go ahead, Will.
My comment was a critique on the conversation. It was a critique on the conversation, not a critique on you individually as men.
When do we as men speak on another man's woman and children?
Oh, shit.
When do we do that? When is that acceptable?
We can address this right quick.
When is it acceptable?
Will.
We can address this right quick.
Ask a question. When is it acceptable to speak on a man's woman and children?
Do not throw a stone and hide your hand.
Niggas can't answer my. You know what?
It's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable unless you want problems.
Y'all, and
just answered. Will, it's not. You just answered.
No. I would like the panel to answer. When is it acceptable to talk about a man's woman and children?
Never, unless that's your option.
I'm saying that do what you do best, go babysit. That's talking about your woman and kids.
I'm not, bro. Have you been paying attention to this broadcast today, bro?
Wait. So no, since you brought it back
I'm
up,
not
me saying
talking about you.
Do what you do best.
All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and let. Hold on.
Disrespecting your woman and child.
Simple questions. Grown men.
Shouldn't have brought it up.
Grown men.
It's a question. It's not a dialogue.
So it's not okay.
Okay.
It's never okay.
So here's what I don't understand. And this is directed to you, Sharm. You a man that stand on business, right? Are you a man that stand on business that call brothers out like you're calling me to the carpet, right? About something that you see me doing that's you don't approve of?
Yes.
Okay. Did you approve of Chicago Outlaw addressing my woman and my children?
I did not. I don't remember hearing that specifically.
Oh, okay.
What did I say about your woman and children? What did I say? I don't remember. What did I say that was about your woman and? Because for one, I didn't even really know you had children like that. I know you always talk about what you do for your woman. That's what I said. When did I address anything about some children?
I think he said something about a baby mama, but I don't think it was anything that could have been offensive.
Did anybody, before I say anything, did anybody else hear it?
I don't recall.
That was in this conversation.
Wait. Y'all didn't hear him mention how my kids would be confused about the mama not having the same last name as us?
I mean, that's not talking about her though, bro.
I said.
Okay. I did hear that.
You make mountains out of molehills.
Hold on, gentlemen. Listen, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be quiet. Listen. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be quiet. Y'all talk about what offends y'all. Then y'all pick and choose what somebody else could be offended by. See, people could be offended by what you say, Hank?
No, I said I agree. It may be offensive to him, so we got to respect that.
Right. So here's what I don't understand. When I hear brothers say things to me, whether it's offensive to me or not, I don't get out of character. I don't start making threats. I'll ask questions. See, I wanted to ask Chicago some questions, but I was waiting for him to get out everything he had to say so I can take heed to what he's saying, process it, respond to it if I understand it, and if I don't, ask him some questions to make sure I understand it. But before I can do that, Kenny decided to interject. So the problem we have, JR, is this. Men are way too quick to be offended. Way too quick to be offended. I don't care what you call me. We was raised, people always talk about how they was raised. And here's what's funny, because we were all raised with this saying, every last one of us. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I've watched guys get so out of pocket, so out of character over words that they claim does not affect them. Then they start talking about how offended they are. So guess what? When I make the statement, we up here talking like women, we, myself included, because I can't exclude myself from a conversation and just say y'all. But when it keeps going, and I'm telling y'all, no one's answering my questions. No one's asking me any questions. And if you are, you're not giving me a chance to respond to it. Then I'm going to say, your ass is acting like a woman. Now, I had some smoke with Outlaw, or at least Outlaw had some smoke with me. He'd been watching me for weeks. His blood has been boiling under his skin. So I'm sitting here like, oh, okay. Well, I'm here now. Let's get to the bottom of it, because I think that's king talk. See, when two men, or when one man has a problem with another man, he has an opportunity to air his grievances. I'm going to listen to him. I keep a pen and pad nearby because I like to write down what you say. When you say what you say, I write it down. I think about what you say. Then I respond to it, or I ask you some questions about what you say. So let's try it if y'all don't mind. Instead of everybody cutting each other off, if you got an issue with someone, why don't you call them by name, air your grievance? The other person should sit there in quiet, in silence, hear them out, and then either respond to it or ask them some clarifying questions so you can understand why they have this grievance. That's what kings would do. If you know, kings really wouldn't do that, because kings ain't gonna let nobody talk to them crazy. But if y'all want to make this king talk and talk like men, then let's do that. I'm willing to be the test dummy.
You got a new parrot tonight.
Kenny, do you have any grievances with me that you would like to air?
Nah, we already settled.
So why you keep interrupting me?
It was in bad taste that
Kenny,
you went and regurgitated.
Why do you keep interrupting
May
me?
I finish speaking? Thank you.
I felt
it was in bad taste because you're an intelligent man. You could have brought up any other points rather than regurgitate those things that we put to bed. That's why I said it was like, well, because he did say that. We could have found anything else to make valid points regarding the things that we spoke about, but you went back there and took the Band-Aid off. Me interjecting was giving you edification of how some people feel. It was not disrespectful. It wasn't queenly. You understand?
Where did I go?
Man,
what are you
that
talking
was a man.
about?
That was a okay, whatever. That was a
Hold
man
on, I'm
talking
confused.
to another man.
Do y'all know what he talking about?
No, stop doing that. You went back and you regurgitated certain points that we
All right, so let's try to
to bed, which you should have never
okay. Let's try to
readdressed.
push forward, y'all. I don't want to keep going. I don't want to keep dialing it back.
JR, I tried to
does
do that.
anybody
Right?
does anybody have any grievance with Will? So you guys can hash it out. Does anybody want to bring up something?
Yeah, I want to ask. So you.
I got it.
So Will. So you took me saying that you not marrying your woman, how you preach about not marrying, and then describing how the different things that changes for children and her having a different last name is disrespect.
I don't think you should ever mention my children if we don't have a cordial relationship into any capacity.
Okay, I was just again. I didn't know that.
I honestly don't know. Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's within my right to expect you not to speak on my children if you don't know me like that?
I get that, and you're right.
No, I'm asking you. Do you think it's within my rights?
Right, correct. I said,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I get that. But what
No,
I'm saying
you said
is,
you get it, but I didn't know if you agree with it.
Listen, what I'm saying is, I also didn't really know if you had children or not, right? You did what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, in general, we asked the differences of when someone's married versus not. All I was doing is explaining that. I wasn't talking about your children.
But notice something. I didn't jump down your throat. I didn't get huffy and puffy. I didn't respond with no disrespect. I accepted what you said, and I was going to ask you some questions about it. But now you've aired your, is there any other grievances you have? We worked through that. That was pretty simple.
Outside of the gaslighting and the, you know what I'm saying?
Well, mention it. Explain.
Yeah.
No,
you do a lot of gaslighting every time I'm trying to like really put into words what gaslighting is. You show me. You know what I'm saying? Like when somebody's saying something, you throw the okay, and then you interject. You throw those little side comments in. You're trying to get a rise out of them. You know what I'm saying? That's what you do.
Give me an example.
Gaslighting.
Give me an example of what you're talking about.
I'm a little slow. I don't know what that means.
Hold on, Cloud. Hold on.
So when you
Chicago, give me an example. You're accusing me of something.
Of gaslighting?
No. I say you're accusing me. I'm listening to you. You made an accusation. I would like for you to give me an example of what it is that you're referring to when you say I gaslight people.
Okay, so when someone's talking and you'll continuously say little words in between each sentence.
No.
That's
don't
the
explain.
Gaslighting. So you'll say things like
Listen. Don't explain to me what gaslighting is. Tell me what I've done. Give me an example of what I've done. Like, quote an example, repeat an example, explain an example.
It's more of a thing that you do. The words always change, but what you're doing when someone's making a point, you continuously jump in and throw little comments in, gaslighting the situation as if they're crazy. When someone's saying something, as if they're crazy.
Okay, cool. Now listen, here's what I would do. Here's how I would address this situation if I was you. If I've been watching someone for weeks and I have a point of contention with them, I would have a specific thing that they did that I can bring to their attention, because I can't just bloviate and just say, oh, it's like, you do this thing and don't really give an example of the thing and just kind of, throw it out there because
I'll point it out the next time it happens.
So at this point, I'll
point it out.
I hear you. At this point, we've been having a point of contention and you can't really articulate your point of contention. I mean, man up and just say you can't articulate.
I think that's so. Look, listen, that's exactly what the gaslighting is.
No, sir.
You see what I'm saying? That's
not gaslighting. Listen. That's not. Listen. That's calling you. No, listen, bro. I listen to you. This is calling you to the carpet.
Hey, why we need a parrot, Clout? I got him. Thanks.
If you stop interrupting me, then he wouldn't have to be what y'all call a parrot. You're making an accusation of me. I'm calling you to the carpet right now. You're doing something that's problematic right now, and I'm telling you about it right now in real time. You cannot articulate the issue you have, but we're supposed to just accept how you feel. I'm supposed to be guilty based on your feelings. You're not.
If I was to guess, I'd say this is how it might be happening, right? So like earlier when we was talking about the standards, and we went through the standards, and then I was listing all my standards, right? And then right after that, you like, y'all niggas ain't got no standards. So I was like, wait, what? Will, give me your number. And then I was like, these like woo woo woo. So I think it may come if someone's articulating the point, and then it's either stepping on the point or making a point to say that their point is inaccurate. And the way that that's phrased can cause contention, especially if it's a specific something that's a sensitive topic. It can elevate that even more.
And I agree with you 100%. And what men should do is, if I do that, right? If you have a problem with that, Marcus, let's say, because when I made my comment, it was right as you finished your comment, right? So it would seem that what I'm saying is tied to what you're saying. It may not be tied to what you're saying, but because of the flow, it would appear that it's tied, because maybe I'm ready to make this point before you make your point, but I'm waiting until your point concludes, and then I start to speak, and then it looks like I'm responding to you. So the appropriate thing, in my opinion, would be for you to say, are you referring to me? And then I could be like, no, that wasn't directed to you. Because sometimes the speaker doesn't always speak in a way that conveys their message. I think communication, the receiver has a lot of responsibility, because if you're offended by something, you should check and make sure you're offended. You know, the fact that you're offended, it's warranted. Because a lot of times we get mad about something and we think something is projected towards us, and it's not. See, what Chicago was just doing is conjecture. He was making all these claims about me, but he doesn't have any sufficient evidence to support it. So I'm calling him to the carpet about it. Now, if he thinks I'm wrong, then he can respond to me in light. I didn't get mad when I believed he disrespected or my woman and my children. I brought it to his attention. Now, if y'all tell me, if y'all can sit here and tell me that I'm gaslighting y'all, I think that's problematic. If y'all tell me that's what I'm doing to y'all, I think that's problematic.
I mean, they're saying that all in the chat, bro. So
I don't care what people are saying in the chat. How many times have I asked the question and the question hasn't been answered? JR, have you been keeping tally, sir?
I haven't been keeping tally, but when I'm witnessing this is the same. These are the same issues that I see amongst like men and women in relationships and marriages, where there seems to be a communication barrier that comes into play. And
I think it's problematic when we don't answer questions and we just automatically rush to offense. We're offended. I mean, not offense, to be offended. I think that's usually a sign of fractured masculinity.
I think our community also lacks debating skills. I think that, you know, a lot of people don't really formally know how to conduct a debate, how to disagree, how to have opposing opinions. And because of that lack of debating skills, they resort to emotions, because that's the only way that they know how to resolve problems.
I got a great question.
How many times is it a good debating skill to enter it with insults?
Well, I wouldn't say it's ever. I wouldn't.
I was talking to Cloud. I was talking to Cloud.
Hold on. I'm going to answer him. I would say it's not necessarily a good debating skill to enter with insults, but part of good debating skills is also not just how you choose to use insults, but how you handle them. So, you know, if you want to be able to be good at debating, you have to be able to control yourself in not throwing out insults, but you also have to be able to absorb insults and respond with logic.
Hold
on.
We going back and forth. Or you respond to insults with maybe other insults, right? That's something you can do, right? Because apparently
you
can say
can, but
by your
you
hold
can,
on
but
by,
that's not
by
necessarily
your
something
own
that mature
hold
people
on
do. But you
hold on
can
hold
do
on
that.
by your own definition, you're going to say what you want, and it shouldn't matter because it's just words, right? You did
Sure,
what I'm
you
saying, so
can.
it shouldn't matter. So when
Sure.
someone replies back to those said insults with,
Well,
you know,
well, for
heat,
clarification, right now you're conflating two arguments. You're conflating the argument of a debate, a conversation in context of a debate, and the conversation on the street. Because remember, we were talking about how I talk to people on the street.
What?
And I said I'm a person who doesn't
No.
mince his words or hold back his, or I said I don't put effort into holding my words back. So
but you didn't
yes,
say that
when I'm
on the
talking to
street. You
people on
said
the
that in
street,
general, didn't you?
Yes.
no, the context in what I was talking about is we were talking about being on the street, because we were talking about the whole conversation of how people wouldn't say something to someone in the street. And I said even in person, I said I may not come with certain insults, but at the same time, I'm not going to hold my tongue. If I have something to say and I feel like I need to check something, I'm going to say it. That's what I said. But right now, we're talking about a debate. So right now we're having a structured debate. This isn't two niggas arguing on the street. We're having a conversation on the street.
Right, but it's no longer a structured debate when you come in with insults. You understand what I'm saying?
Which is why I said you could respond with insults if you want to. You could. Would that be effective in debating? No, it wouldn't. What would be effective is you maintaining your composure and sticking to your point, and you'd probably win the debate that way.
I'm not worried about a debate when it comes.
Okay, I want to say this. Hold on, y'all.
Platform. That's what we're doing here. This is a conversational platform.
All right.
Not with disrespect. It's not.
Hold on, y'all.
Hold
on, y'all. So I think it's a lot of valid points that were made. How I like to internalize things, I'd like to just collect data. I think y'all all said some things that we can learn from. We can learn something from. I don't think that we all got it right. I think that we all are great at some things. Some people are great at debating. Some people do have feelings. I mean, we've seen a whole lot of things on display. So out of everything that was said, just kind of think about what we can take away and we can apply in our lives. I think Cloud do make a good point. And I do see that when people don't know how to debate, and this is including women, you have some people that like to debate and some people who can't debate. And when they can't debate, you do typically see them resort to the insults. Seeing how this is not a structured debate, when Cloud came in, I don't think Cloud was coming in like it was a debate. So I think if you are a debater or if you desire to be a debater, then you might got to brush up on your skills. Because if you are going against somebody who debates, who doesn't have a problem doing it, then you're going to feel yourself getting frustrated and you're going to start insulting because you can't keep up like mentally with that debate. I think we got to be careful how we respond too, because if you guys are responding like this, I'm not pointing the finger at nobody, but it's just something just to kind of sit on and sleep on. If we respond like this, we got to understand the consequences that come with that, and not necessarily on this panel. But if you're exploding like this and you don't practice some level of reading situations, again, I think we all got something to lose. So you got to be a little bit more careful. I think when I was younger, I found myself exploding a lot more than I do now, because I just didn't give a fuck. But times are different now, especially when you got something to live for. And so I don't think a conversation like this really has to escalate till we meeting up. If you do want to do it, then hey, DJ Hemp already put a template for us. You can take it to the ring. We're seeing how that would go down. A lot of people couldn't go toe to toe. They was winded.
Ain't nobody got the ability to get me so emotional that I want to fight them, fist fight, hurt them, or even box them. I got a question for the panel. If we could just go around one time, because I do self-reflection. When I say we talking like women, can y'all show of hands who was offended by that statement?
I don't think nobody's going to raise their hand.
Not only that,
but throw your hand up.
That's revisionist history.
Wait, so nobody was offended. Okay, Mark,
y'all. You said y'all.
Hold on.
My feelings were hurt severely.
Listen, I'm not interrupting y'all. Y'all talking, I'm listening. Every time I say something, it just is never being answered.
You asked the question.
Kenny brought it up again. The last broadcast that he was on with me, I said, we up here talking like women. And then when I say we up here acting like this or we acting like that, Sharm has mentioned it's offensive. Kenny's mentioned that it's offensive. Were y'all personally offended by, or y'all speaking on behalf of other people?
No, I'm not saying that I'm speaking on behalf of anyone. I'm just saying that you can use that example and just think that if I say this, some people may be offended, so maybe I shouldn't say it at all.
But I'm asking you, were you offended?
No, because I don't really take heed to what you say.
Okay, so if you're not offended, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it possible that other men are not offended?
Yes.
But yet you want to police me and tell me how I should talk.
No, I'm not saying how you should talk. I'm saying that the perception of some other people based on what you say, it can be an insult. Right. And just because someone didn't respond immediately, that doesn't mean that like after the fact, what their perception of you is going to be, you know, screwed up because you just said that like, you know, y'all talking like women. You know what I mean? So someone may not.
You said
someone may not express it now.
We're talking about a previous conversation that you weren't a part of.
No, I'm saying that someone may not express it now, but all of these things that you say, you know, it could add up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, this dude said this, he said this, and then it's just going to be a, you know, like a snowball effect.
Now, let me ask you a question, Sherm.
I'm offended.
Sherm, let me ask you a question. If I never address you, if I'm talking to a room of people and I never address you, I'm just asking you about you, not about other people. I'm asking you about you. Will your frustration with me build up if I never address you, call you out by name?
When you say y'all, that means everybody, right?
Okay. But you're not gonna answer my question though.
No, I'm answering, but when you say
you're not
y'all, right?
you're doing it, y'all doing it again. I'm asking you about you.
Okay.
I said you. I'm asking you. Would you be offended? Would it build up for you? Not would it build up for other people?
If you say y'all while I'm around, would I be offended?
Yes.
Yes, I will.
Okay, so then just say yes then. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking you directly. I called you by name. I gave you a scenario and I asked you if you would be offended and you proceeded to answer not about you. This is what I'm talking about when I say we talking like women, or then I change it and I say y'all talking like women, because I specifically phrased it out and I asked you about you. I said, Sherm, I'm asking you about you. And you couldn't answer the question directly.
Bro, my whole point of even saying that, of even mentioning it wasn't about me because you said y'all are acting like women.
I understand,
I was
Sherm.
saying that
I
if
understand.
you say that, certain people can't take offense.
Sherm,
That
I've been places where people make it in general, but I still don't make it apply to me if it doesn't apply to me. You know how many
that's
times
you and me, bro, but that's not everybody.
I'm not telling you how to be. I'm not telling you how to be. I'm telling you about me right now. Okay. I asked you about you so I can understand about you. You didn't answer it. Then I'm telling you about me. And instead of you accepting me telling you something about me, you're telling me and you are different people. I know we're different people. That's the whole purpose of me asking you questions about you so I can understand you. Do you not see how do y'all not see how chaotic it is when a man is saying, if I'm in a room, I've heard Black women say this all the time. Oh, Black men ain't ish. I don't jump up. Who the hell you talking about? Oh, okay. No, she ain't talking about me. Oh, y'all, Black men don't love their kids. They walk out on their kids. Okay. She ain't talking about me. I can have a conversation with her, but I'm not gonna get offended. Be like, oh, you talking about me. I know it doesn't apply to me. I'm not gonna let something that doesn't apply to me offend me.
So this is
okay, I understand that, but we're not talking one-on-one to somebody that we know. We're talking on a panel of strangers that you have to have the foresight enough to say, man, I don't even know if this may trigger somebody. I don't know what they went through. I have no idea what this person's story is. So maybe I should
man, he can speak up.
Keep it, huh?
If he a grown man, he could speak up if he offended.
No, he can say whatever he wants to, but I'm just saying that having the emotional intelligence enough to say, if I say these words, I can get this type of reaction because I have no idea who these guys are or their background or what they went through personally.
So
now, if it was just me and you and we know each other, solid, whatever. You know, I ain't gonna take offense, but I don't know y'all. You know what I'm saying? To even talk like that to you.
I
so
said,
I have to have enough respect to say, okay, if I insult somebody, if I say something in general to a panel of men I don't know, they may take offense to it, and that was my whole entire point.
So where I'm struggling is there's a lack of consistency. So earlier when Outlaw and I think the brother Hink were talking, Will, they were giving their own personalized things, and you basically said, wait a minute. You guys are giving your own anecdotal, personalized things that are just about us, but doesn't apply to everyone else. So if we take this same exact situation here, we may all, there's 10 of us here, or maybe 9 now. If we applied that rhetoric to the general population, like you would do about dealing with women, men, etc., because you say you don't want to just take our anecdotal experience, how is the average person going to respond? That's the real question, not how we would respond here. The things that we're going back and forth, gentlemen, if we took this outside of this platform, what is it reasonable, Will? Because that's what we say in the court of law. Is it reasonable that other people are going to be offended, or is it reasonable? And this is, I guess, to you and the brother Clout. Is it reasonable for the people just to brush it off?
Hold on.
No, it's not reasonable because they're not in the conversation. We're in the
Listen to me first. Look, so first, that's why I was asking JR to put the questions back up, because the question was about men. It wasn't about you guys. JR wasn't asking us, hey, how are you? JR, can you please put the questions back on the board? the
next question was very
men.
direct.
What does the wisdom look like when it comes to dating and relationships? Right? He's not asking you, what does wisdom look like for you? This is about men. He's switched the other one. It was like, are men? What was the next question, JR? How does sex drive change a man's priorities in relationships as he ages? It wasn't like, yo, tell me about you and your life. This is in general. We're talking about men in general. Now, you can mention your own personal examples, but we have to be careful not to extrapolate our lived experiences across men in general, because men in general do not have our lived experiences necessarily, especially if you think you are a upper echelon dude. Clearly, the lower men don't have the same lived experiences as the upper echelon men. So that's why I was making that statement. Now, how do I think the average guys will respond? I think the average guys will respond in their emotions. Most dudes, they shouldn't be offended. They may get offended. I don't think every guy is going to be offended, but our problem is we don't have a standard of how to communicate. People always rush to respond with "I feel," and it's cool. You can feel however you want to feel, but don't let your feelings dictate my intentions. Don't let your feelings change what I actually said to mean something different than what I said. I know what I'm saying. I know when my words could be offensive. I'm not oblivious to the fact that when I'm talking, if it's offensive or not. But I can't be just guilty because someone feels a kind of way. That don't make me guilty because that's how you feel.
Well, no, but the disrespect wasn't just what you said. It was also the way that you carried yourself. Honestly.
Great. Let's talk about it then. Sounds like a grievance.
I am.
But hold that though. Let me come through these super chats and then y'all can come through it, because I know some people don't want to get their super chats read. Accountability partner Fat Dollar says no trade at bad judgments because the oxytocin released from the
permeated
the room to put you in voodoo trance. AP the count. I thought I read that one already. Accountability partner $10 said you're wrong too. Women only want different things because they're on their menstrual. There's something in their menstrual and oxytocin. Have y'all been listening to OG 720 Pimp has been given the game? Egan $2 says there's no relationship without exchange of vows. AP accountability partner $10 says ride or die. Without a contract, can your friend keep you on or have you removed from a ventilator? So the friend can't be a ride or die. It can only be a ride, but a spouse can. Abraham Lacey, $20 says, gentlemen, marriage is a legal contract of commitment that comes with legal financial responsibilities that does not apply to friendship. Your thought process is not a legitimate reason for commitment. Ikene, $2 says, marriage is not religious, it's a concept of nature. And shout to the sponsor of the show, AP Accountability Partner with $100 says, Kenny with receipts and was able to bring to the point Outlaw was making. Salute to the men able to have an uncomfortable conversation. Shout out to JR for letting them have the conversations. Men talking like men. Salute. Read that one already. AP Accountability Partner, $5 says after $25 that oxytocin got him white too. The pimp was right. AP Accountability Partner, $2 says, oh, Will on his BS now. Come on, brother. Gina, $2 says, leave Will. He a troublemaker. Don't come back. AP Accountability Partner, $5 says, damn, Will gaslighting now. Come on, bro. You better than that. Abraham Lacey, $5 says, fellas, just answer Will's question without getting personal. Damn. Abraham Lacey, $2 says, Will ask legitimate questions. This is crazy. Abraham Lacey again, $2 says, come on, JR. Anyone using subtle threats, gotta go. Began 11, $10 says, look at Kenny. Why is the bro with no neck always the one trying to fight? AP Accountability Partner, $5 says, Will, sometimes your questions sound like you're trolling. Never answer the trolling. And that's why men on the panel don't answer. I want to thank everybody that has contributed. Shout out to the sponsor of the show, AP Accountability Partner. All right, go ahead, Outlaw.
Yeah, and that was kind of that last one from AP. Exactly. It's condescending. You know what I'm saying? You ask questions, or the way it sounds when you ask questions is like, come on, man, you know the answer to this, right? And then when you give the answer, that's not good enough. So you have to start poking and prying. And it's just, look, like I said, it's annoying, right? And it built up to a point. It took me a while to even say something because I'm just like, this dude, he constantly doing it. And there you have it. That was the end of it for me. So
okay,
so the disrespect when you cut off people when I'm trying to talk and you oh yeah, but and then this and you throwing subtle words in, it's worse than a woman. And you see women do that all the time. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I tell, like, the only people that I see that think words don't matter and they can say whatever they want generally are women. You dig? Women will say anything, do anything to a point because they know there really isn't any consequences after that. Usually they can go their separate ways or whatever the case may be. That's why women don't understand verbal abuse is just as bad as physical abuse because they think they can say anything. Whereas men that are raised by men understand, hey, you say you say what you want, you might get hit in the mouth. Not saying you, I'm saying what men will teach somebody out in the street, right? You can't just go around saying what you want because you got to take into account, I need to be respectful because shit can go down. And that's what I wasn't throwing no threats. I'm just telling you, look, we can't do that because I'm not going to do it to somebody. I'm not going to do it to somebody. I treat people how I want to be treated. End of story.
So
I think all of those are great points. Oh, go ahead.
Hold on. Do you pay attention when I'm condescending with my questions or whatnot? Do you pay attention to the dynamic of the conversation before my question arises? Or do you only remember my questions?
See, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like that would make somebody not even want to answer it because you ask very condescending questions.
Hold on. Is that a condescending? Is that a condescending question?
That sounded like a qualifying question to me.
The way I asked it. How did I ask this question that's problematic? You're addressing me, right? You say when I'm asking my questions, you're addressing me. I'm asking you, do you pay attention to the dynamic of the conversation that comes before my question?
Both.
Okay.
Both. That's why I answered it.
Okay, so do you think that my questions are usually inappropriate, or do you think my questions fit when I ask it?
I think a lot of the questions that you ask are rhetorical.
You think they're rhetorical?
You're not waiting on an answer. You're just asking like the question so you can try and make a point, right?
No,
so
sir.
You're not asking for an actual answer.
No,
and
sir.
Man,
so we talk all the time, and I was just listening to what you said. It wouldn't bother me, and I can kind of tell Clout's personality ain't gonna bother him or I. But when you say, do you listen to what I'm saying or whatever, that's what he's saying, how it can come off.
No, but he's not talking about that. He's talking
that's
about
probably what he's talking about.
witnessing.
That's the
He's
question.
witnessing.
When you asked him the question earlier, that's what you said.
Right,
That's what
but I'm telling him because he's talking about previous conversations that he witnessed, and he got upset
No, I'm
by
talking about
watching
tonight.
me.
No, I'm talking about tonight. This is all
No,
about
Will,
tonight.
when you just asked him the question, he said, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about right
I
there.
understand that. Listen to what I'm saying, though. Said his contention was not with just that question right there. His contention came before. It came from previous broadcasts. So I'm asking him, does he pay attention to why I'm asking the questions that he thinks I'm being condescending with? And he's not answering the question, or he's like, I'm like, bro,
Listen,
listen.
I'm not referring to those
Hold on, bro.
on. That's not what I'm referring to because you're changing it. I'm talking about tonight. You're condescending to me when you ask those questions. That's why people aren't answering them. I'm not talking. Last week was just your points I didn't like. Whatever. I'm talking about the way you carry yourself and the way you talk.
How do you prove that someone's being condescending and they're not asking you a genuine question because they're trying to understand something?
I can't prove
You
that.
can't.
I'm saying the way.
So why don't
come
you
off
take the
as
conversation?
condescending.
Wait. So why don't you take the conversation in good faith? I'm telling you, I'm asking you to gain insight and clarity. But you want to change what my intent is, and you get offended, and then you respond out of offense instead of or hurt feelings or whatever, instead of saying, hey,
You see that?
you see, again,
what I'm saying?
remember,
Trying to throw in those
listen,
underhanded joints.
remember when you
Listen,
mentioned
Sid
my
just
1 minute.
explained to you.
Bro,
Sid
listen,
just explained to you
I've been
how it
listening to you.
sounds.
I've been listening to you, bro.
Listen,
Remember
but
when you brought up
Sid
my
just
1?
explained how it sounds.
Okay, listen,
Right?
this is
You
the
don't
last
have
time
to
I'm
go
gonna
on a
try this.
30-minute rant. I'm telling you,
30.
I said what the part was. I pointed
Don't worry
it
about
out.
it.
You know what I
Okay,
mean? He
you're right.
addressed it as well and said, hey, Will, this is what it sounds like that can come off as condescending. That's the end of it. I don't need this whole diatribe. You know what I'm saying? Just that's it. That's the point right there being made.
Okay, just super chat at $2. Questions can be respectful or condescending.
I think like probably me, Will, and Clout probably have similar type personalities where we can convey messages and we kind of smart alecky. I mean, my daughter just told me, she's like, you know what, Dad, you can come off condescending. And I was kind of like, damn, because I don't mean to be, because I'm direct or whatever, but then I had to do self-assessment. And Will, you know, we have these conversations all the time. And I said, and this is my dog here, but Kenny, you know, if I go on the outside looking in, and sometimes I can go, yeah, if you don't know the brother Clout, right? If someone doesn't know Will, they don't talk to him all the time. When he says something, it can be like, oh shit. I don't think twice about it because he and him talk every single day of the week. So
I'm gonna keep it 1,000 what you said. I think you're right, but I'm gonna just make this point, and hopefully it doesn't offend anybody, right? I've heard the term condescension before, right? But I've never heard the term condescension from someone smarter than me. No one smarter than me has ever told me that I've sounded condescending when speaking to them.
You sound condescending. I'm smarter than you.
Whenever I sound condescending to someone, it's usually to someone that doesn't fully understand my argument, or someone who's in their feelings, and they say you're condescending because they don't know how else to express that they're feeling stumped or outwitted or bested in the moment, or feeling exposed, right? So because oftentimes when we ask people certain questions and they don't know the answer, it makes them feel exposed, and that feeling of nakedness, they don't like it. So they say, oh, well, you're condescending against me. And it's not that I'm condescending to you. It's just that you don't like the fact that you feel naked. You're unequipped to respond to the question I asked you. And so you feel as though I'm trying to belittle you because you feel small. But your feeling small isn't always the consequence of someone directly trying to belittle you. Sometimes it's just you don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes you're just dealing with someone who's intellectually superior to you. And sometimes you just have to accept that. Sometimes you just really don't know what you're talking about and you're wrong. And you have to be like, you know what? I said some dumb shit. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm wrong. And I need to bow out of this conversation. And people usually don't want to do that. So instead they point fingers at all names and say they're being condescended to because they can't keep up. But
Clout, were you breastfed?
Was I breastfed? I'm offended by that.
Okay.
Well, that's condescending.
Something got to be in the sauce.
You can always tell.
It's called intelligence.
Tommy, analysis. I'm not offended. What Chicago
Smart
law
people usually seem different to the masses. That's how it works.
Inflection
Smart
of
people
voice.
usually seem strange to normal people.
Hold on, he's reading the super chat.
Tommy, analysis. I'm not offended. What Chicago outlaws represent is the inflection of your voice when you ask questions. It's what women use when they ask a question, and you're trying to convince an audience instead of being genuine.
Only women ask questions. That's interesting.
CJ Sparring Matches says, when you're not that bright, everything sounds condescending.
So I'll say this real quick. We probably got to pull a Kenny on this one and study the episode, right? And try to reflect on it, because I think that if people were to watch it, they should feel a little bit different than what their stance is tonight. I think that a lot of it just has to do with respect and how the main thing to do is just to be considerate, right? That's a word that I love to use, is to consider what the recipient is how they're going to take this message, right? Like, not the audience and the people that you're talking to. And we all absolutely have, like said earlier, we have different thresholds as to what we would tolerate. So, some of us haven't been there that long yet to understand everybody's personality. I think that and we've seen a lot of lash outs and stuff when people, like the first few weeks or first couple months, whatever, it might be a little bit different because people haven't calibrated to, and some people won't. Some people will not concede to anything, right? And I get it, but I think it happens more so in the beginning once people start to realize what that particular person's threshold is, they know how to get at them, right? There are some things that are universal though, that and some things that people would easily notice that would people would take offense to, right? If you care. If you don't care, then that is what that is. But if you do care, then you'll consider how the recipient might feel about it. And I understand about the whole feelings thing, because that's not that important and it's different on the internet, right? But we just have to, like, for the conversation to be fluent, for us to really get these points across, to really give something to the audience, we would want to minimize like the back and forth. So we should, every one of us, give our greatest effort to reduce the amount of conflict, right? Because it becomes unproductive after a while. We'll have a message that we want to convey. There's an idea that we want to discuss, but it'll be completely derailed because we're not considering how the other people might take the message, right? And sometimes I know it's cool. Some people, there's room for some of it, but when it gets to the point where people, want to fight and all that, we probably stepped over the line a little bit. You know what I mean? So all I would say is, you can go ahead.
So Trev, for those of us that have sons, I don't have any sons. So I guess for those of you all that have sons, when someone's saying something to your son that he doesn't like, what are you going to teach him to do? How are you going to teach him to respond to that?
All right. So could you give me a bit more context as to or an example? It's really open at it.
Your son is going to follow your tutelage. At some point, he's going to tell you someone said something to him that he did not like. How are you going to teach him to respond to that when it happens again?
Okay, well, all right. So it depends, right? So that's always, we analyze it. It happens often, believe it or not. It actually happens often. So he'll let me know, like, hey, this person, and I say, you know what? What do they mean by that, right? And that's the first thing you should do, is analyze it. Try to see where the person's coming from, which I know you were explaining before. We get that.
How do you know what they mean by it if you don't ask any questions?
You have to ask questions.
Oh,
you have to ask questions.
Oh, wait a minute.
You have to ask questions.
Wait. So you're going to teach your son to find out what the person means by it?
Surely. Now, there's certain things that let's just say, there's certain things that if somebody says to him, that's absolutely inappropriate, right? And
okay, give me the example, and then what you teach them to do? Give me the example of the inappropriate.
It depends. There's been situations where I've told him to respond with violence.
Okay, give me the example of what the kid can say that will warrant you to tell your son to respond with violence.
A threat, for sure. A threat is one thing. And then there's certain forms of disrespect that
like
shouldn't
what?
be
The disrespect.
tolerated.
Give me the disrespect. We know a threat warrants responding to threats because we have to neutralize threats. Outside of a threat, is there anything that you would teach him to respond with violence if it was said?
Yeah, I got some.
Yeah.
So if like a white boy was to call my son a nigga.
Wait. Let Trev finish that lot of questions.
No, that's cool. So there's certain things.
What can be said to your son that will warrant you to teach him to respond to it with violence? That's not a threat.
Right. So there's certain words. I'm not going to say it on YouTube, but there's certain words that you shouldn't call a man, right? There's certain things, right? Like you shouldn't listen. If somebody tries to come for your sexuality, they put that into question. It is what it is, and y'all can feel how y'all want to feel about it. But certain things you just don't tolerate. If somebody says something like that,
so you would teach your son that if somebody questions his sexuality, that he should strike them.
In most situations, yeah. I wouldn't tolerate it, so why would I allow him to tolerate it?
Well, my son just turned 18, and I teach him emotional discipline. I tell him not to react, like Cloud was saying. Don't react. Be so quick to react to certain things. However, I do have an understanding that at his age he may. So I also explain to him the consequences of his actions, right? You can strike someone and you can get your ass kicked, right? There could be the police involved, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I go, hey, look, son, you can do these things, but there are going to be actions that come from that as well. But I always try to teach emotional discipline. And I don't believe fighting should be outside of self-defense, but I do have an understanding sometimes as men, we got to. What, Kenny? Why are you looking like that? Sometimes as men, we got to get it in. Kenny, what you giving me that look for? You don't hear me condoning fighting. I condone. Listen, when JR was talking about, and I always say we can always go to the gym and put them gloves on or get on that mat. That's one thing, but that is not the same. I got 9 other brothers up here. I would invite anybody to the dojo, but I don't want to get into a fist fight with any of you guys because I could get hurt. Fighting and training aren't the same thing, and I think we understand that, gentlemen.
Marcus, what would you teach your son to use violence towards if words were used towards him?
So I just looked this up for OGJ Speed put the fighting words doctrine in here. That's interesting. I was just reading through it, and they kind of coincide with the things that I would react with. So if another man invited my son to his private area, right? If he was telling him that, to Trev point, that's trying to incite him in a sexual manner. I would expect my son to, if he can get away with it. That's the other thing. If I can ensure that he can get away with it, then calling him a bitch, a white boy calling him a nigga, saying suck my, you know what I mean? Anything that's so words that are meant to incite violence, if has within reason could get away with it, I wouldn't be mad at him for doing it. I guess it's one of the things where you kind of got to say no, don't do it. But I would, like to Trev's point, I would do it. So I will understand how he, you know what I'm saying, will react to that.
Let's not make it a fairy tale as if he could just get away with it, because people don't just get away with stuff like that. So when the
I did a lot.
It happens and people do get away with it, but not everyone gets away with it. What would you say? What would happen if that happened? Someone did whatever you claim justifies it. Your son responds with violence and he gets caught up in the system. Then what?
So here, there are certain well-defined and narrowly limited classes of speech, the prevention and punishment of which had never been thought to raise any constitutional problem. These include lewd and obscene, the profane, the libelous, insulting or fighting words, those which by their very utterance inflict injury or tend to incite immediate breach of peace. It has been well observed that such utterance are no essential part of the exposition of ideas and are such a slight social value as the step to truth that in any benefit that may be derived from them is clearly outweighed by the social interest in order and morality. So the words I listed kind of fall into that under the fighting doctrine.
The fight. Who made the fighting doctrine?
So it's a U.S. Supreme Court, Chaplinsky versus New Hampshire. So it's held that insulting or fighting words, those that by their very utterance inflict injury to incite immediate breach of peace, are well defined and narrowly limited class of speech and prevention.
Do they list any words?
In other words, are you saying you read that too fast? Are you saying that I guess statute is what I'm gonna just call it right now? It would be a defense mechanism that you can use in the court of law? What you're reading,
it appears so. Yeah, right now it appears so. I got to do more research on it, but it appears so right now. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe that there's mutual combat laws, and if someone is intent on inciting violence, similar to the whatchamacallit, then I would expect my son to respond in kind. If he cannot, if it actually bothers him, he can't get away. But there, as a man, this is where like manhood can be problematic for your future, right? Because there's a line that every man draws in their mind, and as soon as someone breaches that line, you want to push that person back as far away from your line as possible. And when everybody has a different line. Some people's we may have a baseline that's all similar, but everybody has a different line. And ideally, in a perfect scenario, I would want for my child to be able to just brush everything off. But I know that's unrealistic, and I wouldn't do that because it's certain things that will push me over the line. At this age, I'm to the point where I can hold it in and plot. When I was younger, I didn't do it that way. Thankfully, I was able to get away with everything, but a lot of my friends did not get away with everything.
Why is my bad? But quick question, Marcus. Why is self-control, right, considered like unrealistic in our community? And like that's a serious question because I feel as though only in our community it's like everyone's bringing up this concept of like there are words that are okay to make you get violent, right? And I hear you, and I hear what y'all are saying, and I empathize with what y'all are saying, right? I was raised doing martial arts my whole life. So in martial arts, you're raised that the only thing really worthy of a fight is somebody entering your personal space. Like meaning if your physical body is in danger, then that's the opportunity for self-defense. But other than that, why are we not training people to just be smart with their words? If somebody says something to you that says something that offends you, say something better, say something funnier, say something smarter, say something more insulting. As a person who's always been quick with my words, just growing up throughout my whole life, I've always found it immensely more powerful to break somebody down with words because somebody might say something to insult you, but 9 times out of 10, they're saying something to insult you to get you to react. So what you do is you flip the script on them and you say something better and make them react. Then the power is in your hands. The problem that we have in our community is everybody knows how to trigger us. Everybody knows the exact words to make a black man crash out and do something that'll either make him risk his life or something that'll make him go to jail. All they got to do is call you the right type of pussy. All they got to do is invite you to the right type of genitals and you're ready to crash out and throw your life away. If somebody tell me suck my, I'm gonna say, listen, you're gonna have to suck mine first, pussy. What's up? That's how I'm coming with it. Maybe that's New York in me. Maybe that's the New York in me. But when people say slick shit in New York, we say slick shit back. And I just feel
so,
like people get so emotional, and rather than formulate their thoughts to say slick shit back, right? Everybody just want to crash out because they heard some words that they didn't like. If somebody ain't stepping in your personal space, it's not self-defense. It's not worth crashing out over.
All right, so hold on, let me just get this out real quick. So to address the two things, one, OGJ Speed again brought a great point. Say to relegate it to our community being the only people that react in kind of words. He said Saddam Hussein called the president a whip, and he went over there and killed over 1 million people behind that interaction, right? So it's not just a black thing to put that on. The second thing is, I would prefer to teach my child to respect opposed to instigate, because the instigation comes to a point. When you say, you know, SMD, pussy, what, that what is inciting violence. You can keep raising the stakes essentially till you get to the point of mutual combat. It's unrealistic to believe that you can walk around and insult people all day and there never be any physical consequence for that. I would rather teach my son to show respect to everybody and mind his tongue, because it's life and death of the tongue, and you can easily get your life taken by the words that you utter. Sticks and stones may break my bones. That's a saying, and you want to tell that to children for them, their confidence to remain intact when they get insulted and teased and maybe they can't defend themselves. But in reality, you will get killed behind the things you say, especially in urban cities.
You're correct.
Like
you're correct. You're correct. There's life and death in the tongue. You're correct, right? You can get killed over what you say, but you can kill with what you say, right? So all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, if somebody's trying to kill you with words, then use words to kill them. That's all I'm saying. Don't allow somebody.
You have the emotional discipline for that. And I was going to say the same thing M. White said. I'm not too far from East LA. And in East LA, the Hispanics are getting down the same way. It's so he's right. It's not just our community. Now, we may be able to peel back and say, outside of maybe our government and things like that, it maybe has something to do with economics and things where people clout will say, I don't have anything to lose. So I'm more willing to go there with you than someone who has a lot more to lose. Like I said, I just don't want to blame it in that, but there's correlations of people with lower economics, certain communities, that they may be more prone to violence, because I think the more shit you have to lose, fellas, you're going to think twice about giving all that up just because you call me a name.
I got a woman and I got kids that I like to see on a daily basis. The only time I'm okay with not seeing my woman and my kids is when I'm away for work. If I gotta go take care of some family business, like a funeral or something, and I don't want to drag my family to it, you know, someone from my past passed away and I'm just going to the funeral, or a work-related trip, but I can't see myself not coming home to my family, because here's the problem that we don't talk about. When someone offends us and we respond with physical force, sometimes we're on the losing end of that battle.
Correct.
And I don't even want to engage the battle. I don't want to win the battle. I don't want to lose the battle. I don't want to be involved in the battle. I can't tell y'all brothers what to do. Y'all can do whatever y'all want to do. If y'all want to crash out, crash out. You may come out victorious. You may come out the victim. And sometimes when you're the victim, you don't get to see another day. And sometimes when you're victorious, you don't get to see another day as a free man. I just don't want to be involved. So when people disrespect me, I maintain my composure. When there's an action made where my safety becomes in jeopardy, now I have to respond, because I'm in defense mode. I'm not in aggression mode. I don't understand why to this day we have so many problems with communicating with each other, finding out what the person meant by what they said. Like Trev said, let's find out what he meant by it. Usually you could de-escalate a situation by asking questions. I found that people that have so much hatred and animosity towards me, they get more frustrated with me because I ask them questions. They can't answer. Statements that they will make, I will ask them questions about those statements and they cannot answer them. It happens on these panels, happens on
Instagram. Now it's happening on TikTok. I'm like, it don't matter where I go. I mean, who's the common denominator? Common denominator is me. So maybe I'm.
I think it's
maybe
just
that's what I was going to say. That's
maybe,
what it sounds
maybe,
like.
maybe.
Because one thing that you got to
Hold on,
understand
gentlemen.
is that
I can
when I get
self-correct myself. I don't need no parrots. Hold on. I don't need no damn parrots.
Damn rant.
Yeah, I like that word tonight.
This for they want me to respond to them with energy. They want me to be disrespectful to them. I'm gonna spare them tonight.
Who is they?
All I was going to say is I think it's more of a man thing and us controlling it. If you look in antiquity, there have been wars in various nations and civilizations based on disrespect. So
yeah, but we don't have the luxury, said. We don't have the luxury of these things. Most of us don't have enough to go to war or do these things. And if we want to crash out again, go ahead and crash out.
The point I was using is we're thinking of it in such a microcosm when you can look at there's thousands of years of history to show that men, we can say that they lacked clout. Let's say probably they lacked emotional discipline, but there are civilizations that went to war with each other because of men disrespecting other men.
It's typically an ego thing or a boundary thing, right? Sometimes it's an ego thing when the boundary, like, hey, I'm gonna let you know, don't cross certain lines. You cross the line, it's on and popping. There's no questions asked. We just gonna go to war. But at the end of the day, in our community, most of it's ego.
All right, and one thing
I got too much to lose to be
those examples you gave.
One thing I want to address is how
the
only people that are trying to defend the disrespect are the ones that are traditionally disrespectful, right? All other men that don't really have this issue understand, hey, it ain't no big deal. I'm not gonna disrespect anybody. You know why? Because I know how that can turn out. The only people that's trying to explain it away or rationalize it are individuals that are consistently disrespectful with their, but it's just words.
Well, I don't know. I rationalize it, and
it's just
I get
words
along with
to
everybody.
you. And for me, it's more so about the overall respect of it. You dig what I'm saying? You're not this. I don't know. I am going to respect those that I speak with, right? But when someone disrespects me, now you have no respect for me. So now I don't care what you're talking about. You dig what I'm saying? So now you see how that can deteriorate and just get worse and worse. That's the
did you have siblings?
Yeah.
Did you have siblings? Did you do the I'm not touching you? I'm not touching you? Was that something you did to your brothers and sisters?
Probably when I was like 4. Like when I was like 4, yeah. I mean, I was
because
a young
what they described as like the verbal
know.
version of I'm not touching you. I'm technically I'm not touching you. I'm not touching
you. Who didn't annoy their older
siblings,
siblings, bro? Who didn't do that?
I only had younger siblings. I'm the oldest.
Okay, all right. Well,
I
had older siblings, so you feel me?
I find it funny you throw up this term emotional discipline. You come in with the feminine disrespect, then you do the emojis and play parrot.
I thought we said saying feminine was offensive. There you go. You're being offensive, Kenny. You're being offensive. I thought we can't say feminine.
People want case and points, and
I apologize to you for that, Kenny. Now you're being offensive.
On the contrary,
come on, Kenny. You're being offensive now. I apologize to you.
You can't go on a diatribe about emotional discipline if you come in doing what you're doing with the emojis and all of that, and then you actually have someone co-sign.
They're called memes.
Namely Will saying that you're a parrot.
No, it actually wasn't Will that said it mainly. Will only said parrot when I wasn't talking. It's only been you and who else said it? Outlaw? Y'all are the only ones who said parrot.
I never called you a parrot. I said
he said parrot. He said I
didn't
Well, I can see the point.
Clout. Just so you know, they called you a parrot, and I said so he doesn't have to be a parrot.
I
wasn't offended by that. I know you wasn't.
I'm not sensitive.
See, I'm just making sure I clear the air to make sure we're on the same page, which I knew we were, but I wanted to make sure we were.
No, but you don't have to do that with men that aren't sensitive. You only have to do that with sensitive men.
You got a lisp.
Yeah. What does that mean? Your woman would like
too fast. You choke yourself.
Your woman would like it.
Susie sells seashells by the seashore. Do that quick.
It don't matter. I just got a long tongue, brother. Your woman would love it.
Why would you be telling men you got a tongue? We're not interested.
I'm just telling you,
sir.
your woman would like. You're the one talking about my mouth, brother. You're the one talking about my mouth. So I'm just letting you know, your woman would love it.
Seashells
I'm
by
just
the
letting you know, she would love it, brother.
Could you show some emotional discipline right now?
Hey, Kenny's lady, DM me.
Oh, that's a ouch. Ouch.
We'll see how many jokes he got about my tongue then.
Ouch. Ouch. That was very mature.
It wasn't, but neither was making a list joke.
But
you see how I do it. Rather than get emotional,
right?
I just take shots back. That's how I handle shit. I'm not gonna get emotional and cry and be like, "Oh my God, Kenny offended me. I don't like the way he talks." I just take my shots back.
I was in the Batmobile and I saw you right smoking your tweed on the Ave.
You said what?
You want me to tell you where?
Yeah, tell me where.
Okay, no, we're not gonna do that because people might be minding your business.
Tell me where I was at, Kenny. Tell me where I was at. And
you ain't 185 pounds.
I'm 185, brother.
With the Timbs on?
With no Timbs on. I'm 85 pounds barefoot. And Kenny, if you see me and you felt some type of way, I mean, you didn't say nothing.
I didn't feel
you didn't make your presence known. You didn't make your presence known.
I don't do all that.
I'm just saying respectfully, you didn't make your presence known. If you see me, you could have said what up. I would have said what up right back. I wouldn't have shied away from nothing. We could have had a conversation face to face.
What's all this gangsterism? I thought you had emotional maturity.
Bro, I'm just saying we could have had a conversation face to face. What gangsterism? I'm just saying first off, you're the one that said you saw me smoking. You said you saw me somewhere, implying that you had to drop on me or something. Is that what you're implying?
Oh, now I'm a gangster. No,
I'm asking.
Some people could be coming from work.
If that's what you're implying, Kenny.
Hey, Kenny, I need.
So what was the point of bringing that up? Kenny, if you claim you've seen, what was the point of bringing that up? What were you trying to express by doing that, Kenny?
I already accomplished what I needed to accomplish. Look how you're behaving.
How am I behaving? I'm asking you questions. I'm asking you to clarify.
Oh, now you calmed it down.
I've been asking you questions. I've been calm, Kenny.
Okay.
All I said was, if
come up here, show us that you're a king.
You could have made your presence.
You have the vernacular of a Rhodes Scholar. Come up here, stop calling people feminine and womanly.
You just called somebody feminine.
Properly if you're that good.
No, he didn't. He was saying you
Kenny,
came in.
I just apologized. First off, I apologized to him already, and then he came and called me feminine. So what are you talking about?
No, he wasn't calling you feminine. He said you
You need to play it back. He literally called me feminine like 5 minutes ago. He literally just
Bro,
did.
he said you came in.
And then I interrupted him. Kenny, you're offending me. I interrupted when he did.
I said was
you didn't hear him right. He was talking about the feminine, talking about the queens and all that. He was saying you came in with the feminine attacks.
I didn't call you feminine.
He said I came in with feminine attacks. He said my attacks were feminine. No? Is that not what he said? Feminine attacks?
When you said the queens.
He's saying